According to the National Geographic, ocean plastic is estimated to kill millions of marine animals and seabirds every year. And scientists predict that by 2050, plastic will outweigh the number of fish in the entire ocean. Plastics often break down into smaller and smaller particles, called microplastics, which can be ingested by both animals and people and remain in our environment for hundreds of years or longer. Here are a few helpful tips on how you can help stop the tide on plastic pollution. Tip 1. Bring reusable bags when grocery shopping. Tip 2. Avoid using plastic straws or use reusable straws when having a drink. Tip 3. Drink from a reusable water bottle instead of buying individual bottles. Tip 4. Tell your friends and family about the effects of single-use plastics. You can help reduce the amount of single-use plastics by spreading the word and going green. For more information and to take the pledge, visit reduceyourusetambabay.org.
This is Dave. Dave doesn't know his home's flood zone and was not able to heed flood warnings. Dave and his home are soaked. This is Noah. Noah is an informed citizen. He was warned in advance about potential flooding in his area. Noah took precautions. Noah is dry.
And I saved the animals too.
Good job, Noah. When it comes to flood warnings, be like Noah, not like Dave. For more information, visit hcfl.gov.net. Be safe, be informed, know your flood zone.
All right, good evening. Welcome to the July 24th, 2023 Zoning Hearing Master Meeting. I'm Pamela Jo Hatley, and I'll be your Zoning Hearing Master for this evening. Before we get started, if you would please stand as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. I'm Pamela Jo Hatley. I'll be your zoning hearing master this evening. And to my right is hearing master Susan Finch, and she'll be hearing the first item on the agenda. But before we go there, I would ask that if you have any devices that make noise, would you please silence those at this time? Thank you. And then we'll turn to, I guess, Michelle Heinrich tonight to introduce staff and any agenda changes.
Sure. Michelle Heinrich, Development Services. From the County Attorney's Office, we have Cameron Clark, and from the Planning Commission, we have Andrea Papandrew. And I do have one change to the agenda to announce tonight, and that would be agenda page 6, item C1, standard rezoning 23-0443. The applicant is requesting a continuance to the September 18th, 2023 zoning hearing master hearing. And I believe he is here to make that request.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant here for rezoning standard 23-0443?
Yes, good evening. Hearing Officer Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451, St. Petersburg. We asked for the continuance so we can continue to work with neighbors and citizens, as well as possibly to modify the application. We've been working for several months with Odessa Keystone Community Group and other citizens, and still want to continue to make those efforts. We have also communicated to the KO president that we're asking for the continuance, and also emailed folks who had comments in on the file.
All right, thank you. So you're requesting a continuance to September 18th, 2023 zoning hearing master meeting. Is that correct?
No, August, 30 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Pressman, to have notice done within the 30 days, it would need to be the September date.
September it is.
All right. Then we'll go to the public. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support or in opposition to this continuance request, just to the continuance request? Please come forward if you wish to speak. And we need your name and address for the record.
My name is Trish Lawton. My address is 8310 Jana Drive, Odessa, Florida. We have been following this since the very first application in October of 2022. And it was reapplied because he wanted to speak to the Keystone Civic Association to see if we can come to some agreement on what would be acceptable, that we would also be consistent with the KOCP. When the applicant came to meet with KCA, I asked if he would be agreeable to any site conditions, and he gave me a flat no. He was not agreeable to making any kind of amends at that point, and this was a month ago. So I oppose this. The KCA has found this inconsistent. So.
All right, thank you. Be sure and sign in with the clerk.
I'm so sorry.
All right, would anybody else here or online, is anybody else here to speak just to the continuance, please?
Yes, ma'am. Melissa Nordbeck. Again, as
And address, please.
6008 Hammock Woods Drive in Odessa. And as Ms. Lawton stated, this has been going on for quite some time. Mr. Pressman and the applicant has actually had a new application started because he ran out of time on the last one. So here we are again with the county finding it inconsistent, the Planning Commission finding it inconsistent, and is not compatible with the Keystone Comp Plan. So definitely oppose an extension.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there anyone else who wishes to speak only to the continuance of this item?
Hello?
All right, I hear someone online. Go ahead, please.
Hi, this is Elizabeth White, 17905.
Elizabeth, would you
Burrell
please
Road.
enable your camera?
Oh. Okay, that good? My address is 17905.
Yeah, we can't see you yet, Ms.
Elizabeth, we
White.
can't see your camera yet.
Well, I can see myself.
I believe you'll have to hit start camera.
How's that?
Yes, now we can see you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Elizabeth White. My address is 17905 Burrell Road, Odessa. I live in the Keystone area. I agree with both Trish and Melissa. We would like to speak in opposition of continuing this application. This is not compatible with neighboring properties.
Okay, just speak to the continuance, please.
Okay, I oppose the continuance.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak only on the continuance of this item? All right. Mr. Pressman?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So you're requesting the continuance because you wish to continue working with the community, and also you believe that there might be some site changes?
Well, use changes. We have made some modifications already in response to comments we received, and that's another, we want to see if there's more that we can do.
Okay. All right. I'm going to grant the continuance then. So rezoning standard 23-0443 is continued to the September 18th, 2023 zoning hearing master meeting. And back to staff. Thanks.
Would you like me to go through the published continuances? Sure. Our first one is item A1, Major Mod 22-0671. This application is being continued by staff to the August 21st, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A2, PD 22-1503. This application is being withdrawn from the ZHM process. Item A3, Major Mod 22-1637. This application is being continued by the applicant to the August 21st, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A4, Major Mod 22-1638. This application is being continued by the applicant to the August 21st, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A5, PD 22-1647. This application is being continued by staff to the August 21st, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A6, Standard Rezoning 22-1681. This application has been withdrawn from the ZHM process. Item A7, 23-0059. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the August 21st, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A8, Standard Rezoning 23-0082. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the August 21st, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A9, PD 23-0109. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the August 21st, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A10, Major Modification 23-0281. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the August 21st, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A11, PD 23-0287. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the August 21st, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A12, Standard Rezoning 23-0324. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the August 21st, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A13, PD 23-0369. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the August 21st, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A14, PD 23-0406. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the August 21st, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A15, Major Modification 23-0407. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the August 21st, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A16, PD 23-0408. This application has been continued by the applicant to the August 21st, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A17, Major Mod 23-0414. This application is being continued by staff to the August 21st, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A18, PD application 23-0422. This application is being continued by the applicant to the September 18th, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A19, Standard Rezoning 23-0552. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the August 21st, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A20, standard rezoning 23-0571. This application is being continued by the applicant to the September 18th, 2023 ZHM hearing. Item A21, standard rezoning 23-0573. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the August 21st, 2023 ZHM hearing. And that concludes the continuances.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so the meeting procedures tonight, first of all, again, if you have any items that are noisemakers, please turn those off or silence those at this time. The agenda tonight consists of items that require a public hearing by a hearing master before going to the Board of County Commissioners for a final decision. I will conduct a hearing on each item today and will submit a written recommendation. My written recommendation will be filed with the clerk of the board within 15 working days after the conclusion of today's public hearings. The Board of County Commissioners will consider the record of today's public hearing and my recommendation and will make the final decision on the application at a publicly noticed meeting on a date and time set by the Board of County Commissioners. The hearings today will be informal. I will ask questions related to the scope of direct testimony and may call and question witnesses as I deem appropriate. I will decide all questions of procedure. I will take evidence, but will exclude evidence that is irrelevant, immaterial, or unduly repetitious. Evidence may be presented in written form, and all testimony shall be under oath. Hearsay evidence may be used to supplement or explain other evidence, but shall not be sufficient alone to support a finding of fact unless it would be admissible over objections in a civil court action. The order of presentation shall be as follows. First of all, county staff will introduce the item. The applicant and the applicant's witnesses will have 15 minutes to present the proposal. County Development Services will have 5 minutes to present its findings and recommendations. The Planning Commission will have 5 minutes to present its findings of compliance or noncompliance with the comprehensive plan. Proponents will have 15 minutes to present arguments in support of the proposal, and opponents will have 15 minutes to present arguments against the proposal. County staff will have 5 minutes to present any amended recommendations, and then the applicant will have 5 minutes for rebuttal and summation. The 15 minutes that are allotted to proponents and opponents is the total time allotted among them. So if a number of persons wish to speak on an item, the 15 minutes will be distributed among them. And you may wish to designate a single spokesperson to represent your views if you wish. When you come to the microphone to speak, please first state your name for the record and your address. This meeting is being recorded, so please speak into the microphone so you can be heard and your testimony can be recorded. When you're finished speaking, please see the clerk to my left right here to sign in for the record. And now we'll hear from the County Attorney's Office, who will state the legal requirements for requesting oral argument at the public meeting where the Board of County Commissioners will make a final decision.
Thank you, Ms. Hatley. Good evening, everyone. My name is Cameron Clark. I'm an assistant county attorney. I left my reading glasses upstairs, so let's see how this goes, shall we? Tonight's public hearing is the first step of a two-step rezoning process. This hearing is the time for rezoning applicants and interested parties to present evidence and testimony. Any evidence presented tonight will become the complete factual record of each application, and no additional evidence can be introduced after the closing of an application. The second step of the rezoning process is a public meeting before the Board of County Commissioners, where the board will take a decision on each application heard tonight. Tonight's applications are scheduled to be heard by the board at its September 12th land use meeting. When considering applications, the board will only review the record created at tonight's hearing and the recommendations made by the hearing master for each application. The hearing master will file a recommendation for each application heard tonight on August 14th. The Board of County Commissioners has established a policy that directs which rezoning applications and major modification applications are to be placed on the consent agenda of the board's land use meeting. Applications that propose to add density outside the urban service area and applications that are on roadways with a failing level of service are not qualified for placement on the consent agenda. Applications that do not have consistent recommendations of approval or denial are also not qualified to place on the consent agenda. And finally, applications that have had evidence or testimony provided in the record by non-applicant parties of record, either prior to or at tonight's public hearing, are not qualified for placement on the consent agenda. The board shall allow public testimony by parties of record at its meeting to consider the hearing master's recommendation for any item on the regular agenda. Any public testimony shall be limited to the record of the proceedings before the hearing master tonight, unless additional evidence has been found admissible in accordance with section 10.03.04D of the Land Development Code. A party of record is an individual who fits into one of the following 4 categories. First, someone who's present tonight and presents testimony or documentary evidence. Second, someone who is certified by the U.S. Postal Service as having been mailed notice of tonight's hearing. Third, someone who submitted documentary evidence to the master file at least 2 business days before tonight's hearing. Or fourth, someone who submitted documentary evidence by proxy at tonight's hearing. Again, the content of oral argument before the board shall be limited to the content of the testimony and other evidence submitted verbally or in writing to the hearing master tonight. It's the role of the county attorney's office to ensure that only individuals who have met these requirements are allowed to speak before the board, and to ensure that no new evidence or testimony is introduced or allowed at the board's public meeting. For these reasons, please make sure that all information you wish the board to consider at its public meeting is entered into the record tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clark. All right, again, all testimony that will be heard tonight must be under oath. So if you plan to speak tonight, would you please stand and raise your hand to be sworn in? And if there's anyone online who plans to speak, please also raise your hand to be sworn in. All right. Do you swear the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. All right, the first item will be heard by Hearing Officer Finch, and staff, I believe we're ready to call it up.
Sure, that is item B1, PD 22-0075. This is a rezoning to plain development. Israel Monsanto will present staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Ms. Heinrich, before we start, I just want to establish, because this is the second remand of this application, I just want to make sure that for the record, we're all on the same page as to where we're starting. So I went back and researched the record as to why this was coming back again. And at the March 7th, 2023 Board of County Commissioners meeting, there was a full hearing, full meeting on this item. And at the end, with the testimony, it appears that there was interest in remanding it back to the zoning hearing master to look at issues regarding the density bonus, the traffic and so forth. But because Ms. Corbett's, she represents the contract purchaser of the property and not the property owner, it was a substitute motion was then made to continue the discussion to the April 11th, 2023 Board of County Commissioners meeting. And in my research, there was no testimony at that hearing at all. It was just the applicant was requesting a remand back to the zoning hearing master. So my reading of this, and I understand that we're in this hearing and so forth, but my reading of this is there's no formal direction from the Board of County Commissioners as to what issues or items they wanted the zoning hearing master to review. So if you have any, I don't believe what you at that hearing in March, I believe, but I just want to confirm, and maybe with the county attorney as well, I'm certainly willing to proceed. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Sure. Israel Monsanto would probably be the best person to advise us on what exactly the direction was.
Okay. Mr. Monsanto, can you help us with just that issue, and then we'll go back to the regular format?
Israel Monsanto Development Services, you are correct. It was not a clear direction. The board had several discussions about different topics, traffic, the density bonus being requested, some of the waivers for locational criteria. They also brought up questions about one of the uses that was a community residential home where they could be converted back to a standard multifamily, but the desire was to remand it so the applicant had a chance to evaluate those issues and come back to in front of the board.
All right, so just so it's clear, this is just coming back per those discussion points, but there was no specific motion as to the zoning hearing master should look at this item or that item. Mr. Clark.
And Ms. Finch, I'll just add, yes, without board focus through a motion to direct you to some particular aspect of the application or some component of it, essentially you're free to consider any new evidence of any aspect of the application in order to supplement the record.
Understood. All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. So we'll go back to the applicant. Thank you.
Good evening. Cammie Corbett with the law firm of Hill, Ward, and Henderson. Yes, there was the remand. I think our focus of the remand was specifically Commissioner Owen's request that we consider reducing the density. So as far as the issues with the density bonus and the commercial locational criteria, I think the record is very clear that those items have been, the evidence on those items have been presented, and we have demonstrated that we've met our burden on those issues. But I'd like to have Mac McCraw from Mattamy Homes to come up and address the concerns raised about the density.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Cammie. My name is Mac McCraw. I'm with Mattamy Homes, the applicant. Our address is 4107 Crescent Park Drive in Riverview, Florida. Just a real quick introduction to Mattamy, and I'll try to keep this really short. But Mattamy Homes builds first-class communities. We are committed to the communities we serve, and sustainability is one of our core values. In the last 3 years, Mattamy has developed and completed 5 townhome communities throughout Hillsborough County. Our townhome buyers enjoy proximity to suburban business centers at a much more attainable price than new single-family detached offerings. And on the screen here is just an example of the quality of our townhome units, the architecture. We try to blend with the communities that we're in, and we've had great success with this townhome product. So in April, the BOCC remanded our application and challenged us to lower density. I don't think he was asking you to do anything. I think he wanted us to work with the seller and possibly come up with a new solution on density. So in response, we did agree to remove the assisted living facility use and its allowable bed counts. And I think although Commissioner Wastel supported our application, he did have concern regarding the additional units that may be associated with that use. So that was removed from our application, which is essentially the only change. We also considered reducing the density of the townhome units. This included multiple studies for single-family detached homes. However, this was just not a viable option that we could work out with the seller. Primarily the power line transmission easement, which is a large TECO transmission line, takes up a vast amount of property. And so due to that easement, only 40-foot wide single-family detached units will fit in the developable area. So if we were doing single-family detached homes, 40 would really be the maximum number of units on a very small product, 40-foot wide lot. So we looked at also reducing the density of the townhome units to 58 units, and which would be kind of a Res 4 mix. And the problem with doing that is it added about $25,000 to $30,000 in cost per unit. And I think this is simple to understand, is it takes about the same amount of common infrastructure to develop 40 units or 58 units or 86 units. The cost of the land is the same. The roads serving the property, the off-site improvements, the lift station that's required, all cost the same amount of money whether you're doing 40 or 86 units. Therefore, there are just less units to absorb these fixed costs. And this is exacerbated by the non-typical high common infrastructure costs associated with the transmission line easement. So traffic. And I do have our traffic engineer here if you have any questions for him. But the traffic chart that I've put up on the screen shows the existing traffic is the blue from the golf driving range. The gray, and the AM peak hours is on the left, PM peak hours is on the right. The gray chart on the bar is our project as submitted, 86 townhome units. And the The orange graph in the middle shows our project with 58 townhome units. There's a very de minimis effect to reducing the density. It just didn't seem like it was going to solve what is perceived to be a problem in that area, although all the roads are meeting the levels of service.
And, sir, can I ask you, before you move on, and that analysis includes the up to 20,000 square feet of limited commercial uses?
Yes.
That traffic was included in your analysis?
Yes.
Thank you.
So in addition, with traffic being one of the major neighborhood concerns, reducing to 58 units has very little impact on the traffic counts. At 86 units, the level of service along Boyette Road is still acceptable. These technical standards were considered in staff's review of our application. The staff report and our analysis show that our mixed-use project with 86 units still meets an acceptable level of service. Therefore, we are still requesting 86 townhome units. The bonus provisions of the comp plan allow for this density. The Planning Commission and Development Services staff find our application consistent with no compatibility issues. The concerns of the residents are well documented and included in the report, and staff has taken these concerns into consideration into their conditions of approval. There is a recommendation of approval from staff. We respectfully ask that you continue to support our application. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you could please sign in with the clerk's office.
And that concludes our presentation.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We'll go back to Development Services. Mr. Monsanto.
Israel Monsanto, Development Services. This case was presented again at the January 17, 2023 zoning hearing master hearing. The recommendation at that time by the zoning hearing officer was approval for that request with an updated timing mechanism condition that would guarantee the development of all proposed uses in both development parcels. This case was then presented at the March 7th, 2023 Board of County Commissioners Land Use meeting. At that board meeting, area residents and representatives from the Tampa Bay Conservancy expressed concerns with inconsistency with the comprehensive plan policies and the Riverview Plan, high density as a result of land use bonuses and waivers requests, flooding, incompatible residential types, and potential traffic impacts. County commissioners commented on traffic concerns as well as the locational criteria waivers and density bonuses being requested. Additionally, questions were raised about the presence of a creek in the area and the potential for flooding. Other commissioners commented regarding the proposed community residential home, type C use, and the possibility of it to be converted into a standard multifamily use or affordable housing, which all of these would require future modifications to the PD. Commissioners also pointed out that the area has a future land use category of residential for today, and that is the reason of the need by the applicant to ask for a density bonus to increase to a higher density and number of units. It was also stated that while the bonus would require a mix of uses to comply with comprehensive plan policies, this density increase would not appear to be consistent with the area's future land use pattern, and that the site could still be developed with its current density allowance of the residential 4. The county commissioners asked the case to be remanded back to the zoning hearing master so that the applicant could reevaluate the density and the high number of units being requested, as well as traffic impacts. However, the property owner was not present at the meeting to agree to a second remand, and the case was continued to the April 11th land use meeting to receive input from the owner. The applicant then requested a remand of the application to the zoning hearing master hearing, which is today. Based on the comments and input received at the March 7th, 2023 Board of County Commissioner meeting, the applicant amended this plan development case with one change, and the change is reflected in the site plan, which is to remove the community residential home type C use from non-residential uses in parcel 2, specifically under the group C residential support uses. Also, staff made another change, which is to clarify the pet daycare, which was previously proposed. And this use is being categorized as a kennel use as defined by the Land Development Code. And the applicant has agreed to add restrictions to this use, which is prohibit breeding, rescue, rehabilitation, or adoption of pets. The maximum number of children for the daycare has also been indicated in the conditions, which is consistent with the previously presented site plans. The applicant has not proposed any changes to the number of residential units or decrease in density or waivers, like locational criteria, as part of this second remand. All previously proposed conditions have remained the same as presented in the zoning hearing master back in January 17th, and also at the board land use meeting on March 7th, 2023. Based on these updates, staff still recommends approval of this case with conditions, and we have not received any objection by other reviewing agencies.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Planning Commission.
Andrea Papandrew, Planning Commission staff. The site is in the residential 4 future land use category and within the Riverview Community Plan. The proposed is consistent with policy 1.4 and 8.1 on compatibility with surrounding uses. The request is surrounded by detached residential to the northeast and southeast, and there's a large preservation area to the north. A school is located on the south side of Boyette, and to the west is a public institutional use. The proposed site plan is consistent with Objective 8, and the proposed floor area ratio of 0.19 is below the maximum permitted. The applicant is proposing a mixed-use development with the bonus criteria in policy 19.3, and a condition of approval has been placed to ensure that all 3 of those uses are developed to meet the bonus density criteria. Policy 16.10 refers to the compatibility of density increases, and Goal 6 of the Riverview Community Plan seeks to protect the Alafaya River. The river is to the north, adjacent to the preservation area, and does not abut the property. Commercial neighborhood uses to meet the density bonus provisions have been proposed, and they are limited to the southern portion of the property only. And these are limited to CN uses to help achieve compatibility. Residential use is going to be limited to the northern portion of the property, and there's no setback reductions proposed for the natural preservation areas. With the limits in the height to 1 story and the residential appearance, staff finds that there are no compatibility issues, and this is consistent with Objective 16 and Policy 16.3. The site does not meet commercial locational criteria per Objective 22. The applicant has requested a waiver to this locational criteria, stating that the proposed uses are part of a mixed-use development and that they're limited to CN uses of a maximum of 5,000 square feet with up to 10,000 square feet for medical office and a specialty food store. Since it's not intended to introduce intensive retail uses, staff recommends approval of the waiver. The site plan also shows that it's meeting Objective 19 and policies 19.2 and 16.2, as the commercial buildings in the southern portion are integrated with the residential use in the northern portion, and provides that gradual transition to the natural preservation area to the north. So based on this, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by the Development Services Department.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, at this time, we'll call for anyone who would like to speak in support. Is there anyone that would like to testify in favor, either in the room or online? All right, seeing no one. Testimony in opposition. I know we have one person online who will participate. Is there anyone else in the room? Okay, while you're coming forward, how many people would like to speak? So we have 1, 2, 3. Sir, you'll speak as well? 4 in the room. And 1 online, is that correct? 1 person to testify online, is that right?
There is 1 person online right now, yes.
Okay, so that's a total of 5. You have 15 minutes, so we'll, unless you have worked out an arrangement, otherwise we'll do 3 minutes apiece. Okay,
Thank you,
perfect.
Special Hearing Master.
All right, absolutely. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Jane Graham of Sunshine City Law. I represent James Anderson, who owns the property at 10514 Sedgebrook Drive, in close proximity to the property. He also walks his dog by the Gibbons Preserve, which is next to this property. He would like to renew his previously stated objections made at the July 25th, 2022 and January 17th, 23 Land Use Hearing Officer hearings, and those made at the March 7th Commission hearing. As the staff report stated of the March 7th hearing, the county commissioners asked the case to be remanded back to the ZHM so that the applicant could reevaluate the density and high number of units being requested and traffic impacts. As was also mentioned, Commissioner Owen said he wanted to make the project more compatible without the density bonus and without requiring the applicant to go back to the drawing board. But here we are today, and the applicant has failed to modify the application to address any of these concerns raised by the commission. There's no new information that's been provided in the agenda. Tonight, the applicant presented a bar chart. He's, saying that it was compliant, but there has been no analysis by staff, so this doesn't raise to the level of competent substantial evidence. The applicant has not addressed the reduction of density, and the staff report clearly says this as well, that there have been no changes to the number of residential units, decrease in density, or waivers. The applicant stood up here and said that, well, we looked at reducing the density to 58 units, which would be the Res 4 max, but that adds $25,000 to $30,000 per unit. And so we can't do it. But that's not an argument that's based on the criteria that you need to make your decision on under 10.03036. This is a cost issue, but it's not a zoning issue. As opposition and commissioners have stated during previous hearings, this is also incompatible with residential 4. I have a number of photos from the comprehensive plan, the section of residential 4, which I'd like to submit into the evidence. It shows that R4 is very much throughout the area, and R6 is nowhere to be found. A density bonus for this type of argument in R4 is allowed, but as the comp plan says, this maximum residential density is only provided as a limit for application in situations which represent the ideal set of circumstances with regard to compatibility. Here, it's clearly not an ideal set of circumstances based on the previous testimony. The applicant also fails to comply with commercial locational criteria. For these reasons, the application is insufficient and warrants a recommendation of denial. Thank you
so
very
much. When you sign in, you can submit whatever documents you'd like into the record. Next, please. Ms. Graham, do you have a preference for Ms. Hammer going next as opposed? It doesn't matter to me.
Oh, Ms. Hammer will go next.
Okay. Well, then we'll call on Ms. Hammer, who is participating online.
Good evening. My name is Ethel Hammer. My address is 19825 Angel Lane, Odessa, Florida, 33556. I'm here this evening representing the Tampa Bay Conservancy, and I believe everybody knows that that is the property adjacent to the north of the subject property. I previously testified in opposition, and so I am aware that that testimony is going to be part of the record, so I'm going to limit my comments to things I have not previously discussed. And the major thing I want to talk about is the whole mixed-use aspect of this project and how they got there. They got there by including non-residential as part of the project. Now, if this project were eligible for meeting the locational criteria, they would be limited to 5,000 square feet. The reason they would be limited to 5,000 square feet is this most closely represents or resembles a major local road and a 4-lane highway. So the comprehensive plan limits the amount of square footage, and under policy 22.8, the plan says, and I quote, "The square footage requirement of the plan cannot be waived by the board, only the location." The applicant proposes 3 uses to qualify as a mixed-use project. The Planning Commission seems to use that as part of their justification for the commercial location criteria waiver. However, the benefit that you receive by using policy 19.3 of being categorized as a mixed-use project only permits a density bonus to the next higher land use category and an increase in FAR. It does not permit an increase in square footage, which is different than FAR. Increasing square footage would be in direct conflict with policy 22.8. Therefore, the proposal for a mixed-use project cannot be justified based on an increase in square footage of non-residential. The Conservancy continues to object to the increased density. We want to, as part of our objection, refer to the map that Ms. Graham submitted into the record. And we also object based on the intensity of non-residential, which is prohibited under policy 23.8 and 19.3. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. I appreciate it. All right, next, please. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Gary Gibbons. I'm here in 800 29th Avenue North in St. Petersburg. It's my address. I'm here in two capacities tonight. First, to represent the Gibbons family, my 98-year-old mother, Helen Gibbons, my 3 siblings, and our 9 adult children who all oppose this rezoning. Secondly, I'm the vice chair of the Tampa Bay Sierra Club, and I'm here to file an additional letter of opposition from Sierra Club as well. My father bought what is now the 60-acre Myron and Helen Gibbons Nature Preserve in the early 1960s, and he always wanted the land to stay undeveloped, which it has. And the preserve is located immediately north of the applicant's property. The preserve has been designated as an old growth forest in Hillsborough County. It's the only one that's designated that way. The county recognizes it also as a significant wildlife habitat. My mother, on behalf of all of our family, has filed a letter objecting to this previously, which is in the record, contending that this is just too intensive for and not compatible with the surrounding properties. I want to show you it was commented earlier that the Alafai River is nowhere near this property. If you'll see, Bell Creek is located 30.4 feet from the northern boundary of the applicant's property. And Bell Creek is a major tributary of the Alafai River. It has flooded for years out there. In fact, we had built a pedestrian bridge over Bell Creek at one point in the 80s. It got washed out by a storm. We replaced it with the existing pedestrian bridge now. The preserve is a significant wildlife habitat area, and Bell Creek is a coastal high hazard area. This is the exact type of property intended to be protected under Goal 6 of the Riverview Community Plan. That community plan clearly states that densities and intensities are to be reduced, not increased, in order to maintain, preserve, and protect the environmental quality and wildlife habitat of the Alafai River and its surrounding watershed, including Bell Creek. This rezoning application violates Goal 6 by seeking to intensify development by adding commercial uses that were never contemplated under the current zoning, and then trying to leverage that intensive commercial use to increase the density right next to the watershed and a significant wildlife habitat area. As Ethel Hammer pointed out in her testimony, the requested commercial development of 30,000 square feet is 6 times larger than that permitted under the code and should never be allowed here. I also have a letter of opposition from the Tampa Bay Sierra Club, which I want to file in the record. Sierra Club objects to this project as being inconsistent with the Comprehensive Plan Objective 3.7 and policies 3.7.5 and 3.9.9, as well as inconsistent with Goal 6 of the Riverview Community Plan.
So
this project is totally incompatible with the surrounding properties, and this application should be denied.
Thank you for your testimony. If you could please sign in and submit your documents into the record. Next, please. We have one more? Two more. Good evening.
One more. Hello, my name is Sabina Prather. I live at 1601 Bentwood Drive in Sun City Center. I am also here as a Sierra Club Conservation Committee member. There were a couple of things in the letter that we originally wrote that I wanted to address tonight. One is that I would say about a quarter of the proposed dense housing is in a flood zone. And I just got a new insurance for my home, my own home, and is not in a flood zone, and it is crazy expensive. So the residents that will be in the flood zone are not going to be able to afford insurance or even perhaps get insurance. So that's a concern that it's in a flood zone. Also, the proposed commercial uses, there's no guarantee that they'll be relatively passive. Boyette Road is very intense already, and the traffic concerns for over 80 residents living in that area are of concern to me and to people who live in that area. The commercial strip development pattern is goal one of the Riverview Community Plan to avoid that, and it looks like the portion that is going to be fronting Boyette Road is going to be a commercial use that will be incompatible with that goal. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you for your testimony. If you could please sign in. All right. One more or no? No. Okay. All right. Anyone else? Last call. All right. Then we'll close testimony in opposition. Development Services. Ms. Heinrich, anything else?
No, ma'am.
All right. Let me ask a question before we go back to the applicant, Ms. Papandreou, the Planning Commission. You heard Ms. Hammer's comment about the commercial locational criteria waiver and her question, her point about the eligibility for going to the next plan category up and also an increase in the floor area ratio. But her point was that doesn't necessarily equate to an increase in square footage of that commercial that they're asking for. Can you address that point for me, please?
Sure. Andrea Papandreou, Planning Commission staff. I think she's referencing policy 22.2 for the locational criteria. So for that policy, to meet locational criteria, 75% of the site must fall within the specified distance of the intersection. For residential 4, that's 900 feet. The site before us today is approximately 2,500 feet from the nearest qualifying intersection, which is Boyette Road and Bell Shoals Road. So if the subject site is not within that specified intersection distance, then they are not meeting commercial locational criteria, and they're not subject to the square footage restrictions. They can submit a waiver for what they're requesting. So if they since they are not within that 900 feet, they're not subject to that restriction. And 19.3 on the density bonus criteria is separate from locational criteria, and as long as they have 3 uses proposed, they meet that criteria for the density bonus.
And just for the record, the Planning Commission is supporting not only the waiver, but also the application.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. Then we'll go back to the applicant, who has 5 minutes for rebuttal.
Cami Corbett for the record. I'd like to ask our traffic engineer to come up and testify about that bar graph chart that was submitted into the record.
All right, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Ali Atefi. I'm with Links and Associates, and I've already been sworn. We were asked to look at the traffic impact due to the reduction in the density from 86 units to 58 units. And as was shown on the bar chart, there is insignificant reduction in AM and PM peak hour trips. And more specifically, there is only 15 trips per hour in the morning and 17 trips during the PM peak hours reduction. So I just wanted to mention that, and if there's any more specific questions, I can answer.
Mr. Atefi, let me just clarify that point. So the bar chart that was shown by the applicant represents the trip generation rates that are generated by the uses they're proposing. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And so the different charts, and let me go back. And so those trip generation rates, you obtain those how?
These are from ITE trip generation manual, which is widely used manual to estimate the trips.
As the accepted standard for
Yes.
obtaining those rates?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. That was my question.
And I just want to confirm our office prepared that table.
All right. Thank you for your testimony. If you could please sign in with the clerk's office.
Sure. Thank you.
Cami Corbett, I'll be brief. I didn't hear any new objections that have been raised. I did hear all of these objections at some point in time in some of the hearings with respect to the appropriateness of the residential density bonus. As you know, the residential 4 category, every property in the residential 4 category is eligible for a density bump. So even though the land use map says Res 4, every single one of those properties could be considered for 6 units to the acre. We've previously provided testimony from both our civil engineer regarding flooding and our environmental specialist who has testified that there's a net environmental benefit to this rezoning, and we just ask again that you would respectfully request or recommend approval.
All right, thank you for that. So with that, we'll close rezoning PD 22-0075, and I'll turn the hearing back over to Hearing Master Hadley. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Finch. And we'll go back to staff to introduce to call the next item.
Our next item is item B2, PD 22-0648. This is a request to rezone property to plain development. Sam Ball with Development Services will present staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
All right. Thank you. Applicant?
Good evening, Madam Hearing Officer. My name is David Wright, President of TSP Companies. Address is P.O. Box 273417, Tampa, Florida 33688. And as you can probably hear, I have very limited voice tonight, so I'm going to be brief. This is also a remanded application. To be quite honest with you, we were not prepared for the first zoning hearing, master hearing. We were still working with transportation staff and planning commission staff on several issues. One was compatibility, and we've made substantial changes to the plan between the last hearing and tonight to ensure compatibility with the surrounding properties. Those included restricting the height of the proposed storage buildings to 1 story, reduce the scale of the buildings that are adjacent to the agricultural residential uses, increase the buffer width from 20 to 30 feet, the length of the east property line and a portion of the south property line, and to save existing trees along the east property line to provide better buffering, in addition to the additional plantings that we've proposed. We've also limited the FAR of the storage facility to 0.15 instead of 0.25, which is permitted in the SMU 6 category. And also working with transportation staff, we've been able to prepare and have the county engineer find approvable a design exception for improvements to Southeast 24th Street. And with that, we have reviewed the staff reports prepared by zoning staff and planning commission staff. We're in agreement with those staff reports and all the conditions. And I will end my presentation and be available for questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wright. So we'll hear from staff.
Good evening, Sam Ball, Development Services. The applicant is requesting to rezone 12.2 acres located at the southeast corner of East College Avenue and 24th Street Southeast from AS1, ASC1, and RSC6 to planned development in order to accommodate the development of a mini warehouse facility. The property is currently developed for a church with 40,190 square feet and 660 seats. The subject site is located in an area with a variety of uses and zoning designations. This mix of uses includes single-family residential, vacant commercial, and residential, concrete production and distribution, strip retail, and religious institutions. The adjacent properties to the north of East College Avenue are developed for strip retail, concrete production and distribution, and a vacant property zoned AS1. The adjoining properties to the south include a single-family dwelling and a vacant property zoned ASC1. The properties located across 24th Street Southeast to the west include a vacant PD that allows for a mobile home park, a church parsonage, vacant church property, and vacant commercial. The properties to the east include a warehouse building and a single family dwelling. As proposed, and in addition to the existing 660-seat church, with additional site development would be allowed to include up to 65,420 square feet of mini warehouse space with up to 520 storage units. The storage building would be required to have 30-foot front setbacks, 20-foot side setbacks, and a maximum height of 1 story up to 35 feet. 30-foot type B buffers will be required along the east and eastern portion of the south property boundary that abuts the single-family residential property, A 20-foot type B buffer will be required along the remaining southern buffer, and a 10-foot type A buffer would be required between the storage building and the church site. As proposed, the development result in an overall floor area ratio of 0.15, and the maximum impervious surface area would be limited to 70%. If PD 22-648 is approved, the county engineer will approve a design exception related to the substandard road improvements on Southeast 24th. The developer would be required to construct a 10-foot sidewalk along Southeast 24th and tie into the existing sidewalk on State Road 674. Additionally, Southeast 24th Street is identified on the Hillsbury Corridor Preservation Plan as a future two-lane enhanced improvement, where the developer shall designate approximately 12 feet of right-of-way preservation as shown on the PD site plan. The building setbacks will also be measured from the future right-of-way line. Based on the adjacent zonings, the incompatible use buffering enhancement requirements, and the proposed height restrictions, staff finds the proposed plan development compatible with the existing zoning districts and development pattern in the area, and finds the request approvable subject to conditions. That concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you. No questions for you. We'll hear from Planning Commission.
Andrea Papandrew, Planning Commission staff. The site is within the Suburban Mixed Use 6 Future Land Use category and the Ruskin Community Plan and the South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan. As stated, this has been remanded to address Planning Commission compatibility comments. The proposed is within the allowable intensity that can be considered under this Suburban Mixed Use 6 Future Land Use category. It is compatible with Policy 1.4 on compatibility with surrounding neighborhood and uses. There is an existing church on the north parcel, which is considered a residential support use. The proposed mini warehouse on the south parcel abuts single-family residential homes to the southeast and east. That south building has an approximate distance of 50 feet to the southern property boundary line. Applicant is proposing to restrict the height of the commercial buildings to 1 story and place a retention pond along the southern boundary. They're also proposing to save the existing vegetation located to the east property boundary to help buffer and screen the non-residential use from the adjacent single family. So these mitigation techniques are accepted as a step in the right direction towards achieving compatibility. The proposed is compatible with the surrounding uses. It meets the intent of Policy 1.4, Objective 16, Policies 16.1, 16.2, 16.3, 16.5, and 16.10 on compatibility, complementary uses, and the need to protect existing neighborhoods and communities. And this is done by the 30 feet. The warehouse is at least 30 feet away from single family with dense vegetation. The property is within the Ruskin Community Plan, Area 3, Central Ruskin, and meets Goal 2 for providing opportunities for business growth and jobs. Also meets Goal 2 on supporting and promotion of commercial development that's at a scale and design that fits the community's character. And also is consistent with the South Shore Community Plan on implementing preferred development patterns. Based on this, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by the Development Services Department.
All right, thank you. All right, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? Do not hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, do not hear anyone. We'll go back to Development Services. Anything further?
Nothing further.
All right, and applicant, did you have anything further?
No, thank you, nothing further.
All right, thank you. Then we'll close the hearing on rezoning PD 22-0648.
Our next item is item D1, Major Mod Application 22-1510. The applicant is requesting a major modification to a plan development. Chris Granilard with Development Services will present staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
All right, thank you.
find that one.
All right, which one is it?
Should be a green.
Which one is it called?
D1.
You got it.
There you go.
So, like that. Got it up there. There you go.
Thank you so much. Good evening. My name's Neil Strelo. I'm an associate with VHB. My office is located at 501 East Kennedy Boulevard, Suite 1010, Tampa, Florida. I am the authorized agent for the property owner, Central Florida Investments, Inc., for the application located at 6615 East Chelsea Street. The project area is 3.17 acres, more or less. It is located within the UMU 20 future land use category and has an existing zoning of PD 84056 that had included a billboard back in '84. The proposed use is for a hotel, 84 rooms with a gross square foot of 31,200 square feet, more or less, and a max building height of 50 feet. Hillsborough County findings have found the application consistent with the comprehensive plan and approvable subject to conditions, and that includes a design exception for the East Chelsea Street corridor. Property is located generally along the west side of Interstate 4, north of the MLK intersection. It is accessed by Chelsea and 56th and MLK. This is at a dead end of East Chelsea. The right-of-way is FDOT controlled in front of the property, unincorporated county to the west. The aerial shows a treed canopy. It's an upland mixed hardwood canopy. And I'll just move on with it. The site plan was developed to include the proposed hotel in the center of the site with parking along the interstate, along with retention. Existing tree canopy, large masses would be preserved to the north toward the other uses in the public right-of-way. Our access comes from Chelsea at the FDOT connection, and in conversations with Hillsborough County Transportation staff and DOT Transportation staff, a proposed turnaround improvement was identified as part of this plan and as part of the design exception, along with sidewalk connections to the west to an existing sidewalk that is located at the International Corporate Center property. This is a view looking toward the east, toward the interstate. The vegetative cover, the tree cover on the right-hand side is functionally the property. What you see is a two-lane street with open ditch on both sides. And to the right-hand side of this is where the improvement of sidewalk and connection would be created. The design exception proposes to change the existing or maintain the existing travel lanes, but modify the proposed stormwater retention and include that sidewalk along the southern side within the public right-of-way. This concludes my presentation, and I'll stand ready for any questions.
All right, and just, you mentioned water retention and the sidewalk. You're talking about the existing ditch?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, thank you. Be sure to sign in. All right, Development Services.
Good evening. Chris Grellenard, planner with Development Services. Here to present major modification 22-1510. The approximate 3.17 acre vacant parcel is zoned PD 84-0056. The site is located at 6615 East Chelsea Street. The applicant proposes a PD modification to allow a 31,200 square foot, 84 room hotel with a maximum height of 50 feet The area consists mostly of institutional and commercial uses. The subject property is adjacent to a Union Hall, Zone CN, commercial neighborhood to the west. To the north across East Chelsea Street is a church, Zone PD, and a vacant parcel zoned RSC 6. To the south across Interstate 4 is a motel zone CI, commercial intensive, and a commercial truck sales zoned M for manufacturing. To the east across Interstate 4 is a commercial truck sales zoned M, and furthermore, there is a large office complex located further west on East Chelsea Street, Zone PD. The subject property is designated urban mixed use 20 on the future land use map. The Planning Commission found the proposed use consistent. The surrounding uses are similar to the request, commercial. Also, the proximity of the property to Interstate 4 is conducive to higher levels of commercial traffic. Therefore, the modification of PD 84-0056 to allow a 31,200 square foot 84-room hotel would be consistent with the existing zoning pattern of the area. Glad to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. No questions for you. All right, Planning Commission.
Andrea Papandrew, Planning Commission staff. The site is in the urban mixed use 20 future land use category and within the East Lake Orient Park community plan. The proposed is compatible with the existing surrounding light commercial, heavy commercial, and public institutional uses, and is compatible with policy 1.4. The site has adequate buffering on the east and south through the stormwater ponds and 15-foot landscape buffer. Proposed is also compatible with the urban mixed-use future land use classification, and the intensity, use, and character is consistent with policies 8.1 and 8.2. It also meets the intent of objective 16 and policy 16.1, 16.2, and 16.3. It's similar in nature to the surrounding land uses, and stated previously, the landscape buffer on the south, east, and west sides provides appropriate buffering with the proposed hotel, Interstate 4, and the western public institutional land use. It also meets the commercial development policy direction under Goal 17, Objective 17.1, and Policy 17-1.4 of the community design component. The site is within the East Lake Orient Park Community Plan, which states new development should include bicycle and pedestrian access. The proposed will include a 5-foot sidewalk connecting to the existing sidewalk on East Chelsea Street and to the proposed hotel. And the plan also seeks to create a commercial redevelopment area along 56th Street from the Temple Terrace boundary to Harney Road, and along Hillsborough Avenue from 56th Street to Orient Road. Though the site is slightly south of this targeted area, it does contribute to the overall economic development goal. Based upon the above considerations, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed major modification consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to conditions proposed by the Development Services Department.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? I do not hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application?
I believe we have one person signed up, Richard Krager. Richard, if you could unmute yourself and activate your camera.
Oops. We have no opposition to this at this time.
All right, need your name and your address, please.
Father Richard Krager, 6400 East Chelsea Street, Tampa.
All right, and you said you have no opposition, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition or in support of this application? Either one. All right, don't hear anyone. Going back to Development Services then.
Nothing further, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Applicant, anything further? Nothing further from the applicant. Thank you. And that will close Major modification 22-1510.
Our next application is item D2, PD 22-1577. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from ASC 1 to PD. Tim Lampkin with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening, Zoning Hearing Master Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg, Florida. This is RZPD 22-1577. Is the PowerPoint up for you?
It is not yet. Now it is.
Okay, great.
I see it now.
Great, thank you. This is located in the Greater Palm River area, as indicated on the mapping. Located where the red star is, which is south of Causeway, north of Progress Village area, and west of I-75. As the property appraiser has it, long rectangle, long and not very wide site. The issue is this is a small business seeking ASC 1 to PD for 1.41 acres to allow one residential unit and one contractor's office with no outside storage. The business is run as a dispatch operation, which is different than some of these companies, which reduces the amount of activity, the amount of trucks, the amount of employees at the site, which I'll talk a little bit more about. So this is the PD plan as it's been laid out. In the front is a residential unit, which is existing, and the office for a AC and heat company. There are a number of conditions. First is that the use is office and interior storage for an AC heat repair company, which the code recognizes as the contractor's office. The existing home will remain as a residential single-family home. Second, there's no freestanding or wall signage permitted. There's no customers to come to the site. The exterior of the existing front residential home will remain a residential character. There'll be an OPEG fence to code standards on all sides of the property. All activity, including any storage of machinery or commercial vehicles, will be interior to the building. Some vehicle parking will be provided in the very rear of the parcel, which is extremely well screened and buffered. And there's no active mechanical, AC, or heat repairs that occur on site. So Mr. Nevels is here and he can further detail this, but the basic operation is as a dispatch operation where the repair guys will come at different points during the day. They got most of their machinery at the manufacturer. They don't keep too much there anymore. They pick up their orders, pick up a few parts if that is, and they're gone for the day. They keep the trucks overnight. One of the perks is that they keep the trucks as a vehicle that they use every day. So our goal is to have the site act and sound like really a mixed-use site, which is a residential, professional, office use. In the upper left, you can see what the residential portion right in front by the street look like. It has been pretty much upgraded, and that is at the front of the lot. As you can see, they put a lot to that, and that looks very nice. That provides great screening and buffering from 78th. So what I've shown you in an arrow, because it's very difficult to see, is the rear area that the company is from one side of 78th and the other side. Extremely well buffered. If you're driving by, you would never know that there's an AC heat company there, and that's done on purpose, of course. We're in the Comp 9 res category, which is open scale commercial uses, offices, multi-use, multi-purpose. Shown in the zoning map as the center is the site. To the north is a CI zoning and an office and commercial zoning. And showing to the south, the site is in the red square. There's a PD for a convenience store and CN zoning. That is petition 020036 that was approved, which included light equipment rental and leasing. So there's more and more intensive uses along 78th. 78th is very busy. It's 15,092 vehicles per day. This trip generation was very low. It would be 54 in a 2-hour volume, which would be 9 a.m., 9 a.m., and 10 in the p.m. Now, there is the test of time here. I looked through aerials, and in 95, I saw that the use or the structure of the use was there. That's been over there quite a long period of time. So again, we do the test of time here. And we have reached out to the neighbor on the south. I have a letter in support from the neighbor on the south. We tried to reach the owner to the north. He's been unreachable. It's vacant. We have also sent out public notice, actually multiple times, I think 3 times, as well with the large yellow sign out front. And this is the letter of no opposition from the owner abutting on the south. And abutting on the north, as we've shown, or as we're showing you, is vacant. The PD plan variance is supported, or this variance is supported, which is a 20-foot buffer with a type B screening along the northern side, property boundary, to a 10-foot buffer with a type A screening along the area shown. And staff supports that. The variance to the south, staff does not support. That's a 20-foot buffer with a type B screening along the southern side, seeking for a 3-foot buffer with type A screening. What I do want to show you about that is that the abutting use is also a driveway. Part of the conditions, which I'll submit, include that they'll have a potential shared access in the future. So driveway on our side, driveway on the abutting side who's in support, and for part of that distance is a shared driveway. So we don't have the abutting owner in opposition to it. So we felt that in terms of a variation that could be and should be, we would ask your consideration to support. On the location waiver, which has been submitted, in support of that, the use is conditioned as all interior. It will remain residential character. I've shown you the great buffering and screening from 78th. The existing residential in the area, some of it is widespread and open, including a water body in the rear. And again, this is a dispatch-like operation. Under the Greater River Community Plan, it's located in the mixed-use business, professional office, and residential-oriented development, as I'm showing you on the Greater Palm River Community Plan. Double check the distance, be sure we're included in that area, which is the 78th Street Overlay District, which refers to appropriate to plan for the transition of business and professional office uses. And again, our goal is that this looks residential and professional office. Greater Palm River Community Plan has a number of conditions that we feel that we meet, which is to provide improvements for the appearance and safety of primary signature roadways, which includes 78th. Clearly, this is a very improved face on 78th. Enhanced community appearance, beautification, including signage regulations, which there are conditioned, there are none. And the vision of the Greater Palm River area concept map illustrates unique qualities of land uses related to distinct areas of the community. Future development or redevelopment is required to comply with the adopted concept map, which, as I've shown you, we do comply and we meet with. Waiver to locational criteria, as I indicated, are all the points that I presented to you, which we believe allow improved compatibility and meet the intent of the overlay of the 78th, and that we've been successful with the neighbor on the south, which we think is a critical factor. What it boils down to, of course, not speaking for the staff, but in our opinion, what it boils down to is that staffs have an opinion that there's not enough that's been done for compatibility. We feel very strongly and successful that we provided a lot of elements for compatibility for this site for it to work. So I do have conditions to put into the record, which I will in just a moment. But in summary, again, there's a lot of conditions, a lot of molding for this site to make it work, which is compatible. The residential component, the interior use, neighbor support. It's a low trip generator. Have the test of time. There's been absolutely no complaints that we're aware of. I did check online for support or opposition. There were none listed whatsoever. Haven't been made aware of any calls or any letters. And meets, as far as we can see, meets a lot of the Great Palm River Community Plan. So with that, we appreciate your consideration. I'll put these conditions on the record, if I may.
Okay, and I have some questions for you, Mr. Pressman.
Yes.
First of all, you said the single-family home is to remain. What is the use of the home?
It's a single-family home. So, and Mr. Nevels may give further details, but it's for the use, at the moment, the use of one of the employees. I live there. Mr. Nevels lives there. Mr. Nevels is one of the owners of the business. He lives there. And we've indicated that continues to be residential. The idea is that it would be for one of the employees or one of the owners of the business.
Okay, Mr. Nevels, could you please step up to the microphone, please? Thank you. You did answer a question from your seat, so I think I need your name and your address on the record, please.
Don Richard Nevels,
And your address.
3826 South 78th Street.
All right, thank you. And is this your property?
It's me and my partners. We started a business like 6 years ago, and we were driving by and we saw that and, huh? Oh, well, I know what you asked then. Yes.
Okay. Who has title to the property?
Chris Eubank and Chris Eubank, my partner.
Okay, Chris Eubank is your partner?
Business partner. We're 50-50.
Okay. Okay. And you live in the single-family house?
Yeah, I've lived there since the beginning, since we bought it over 4 years ago. Yep.
When was the 5,000 square foot building erected?
In 1985. It was there when we moved in.
Okay.
It was a wreck. I mean, we've done a lot of work there, but yes, 85.
Okay. And you use that building with your business?
Yes, we're a small business. We just have 2 employees back in the office that answer phone calls, and in the morning the guys come through and just pick up paperwork. They take all their trucks at home.
All right. Did you do some improvements to the site?
Yeah, a lot, over $200,000 that we've done all the fencing. I mean, we don't want no signs up. It's in the I walk to work, of course. That's not always a blessing, but so it looks like a normal residence. If you ever came by there, you'd see we don't put signs up. Everything's way in the back.
Okay.
So I don't know if I answered your question.
All right. And did you do some paving or asphalt?
That's next. So we're knocking down that 2-car garage. We're being told that we have to take down the 2-car. It's going to be 24 feet, from that we're going to have to spend like $50,000 or $60,000, which is cheaper than trying to find another business that big, because everything we can't afford something else, and we got employees to take care of.
And so either one of you, please, Mr. Pressman, if you want to answer this question, or the property owner, it doesn't matter. But is the purpose of the rezoning then an effort to comply the use of this site with the zoning?
That's correct.
Okay. Is this property subject to a code enforcement action?
It is.
I believe it is.
Okay. We got in trouble.
All right, I'm sorry, one at a time. Please step up to the microphone.
Okay, no, so a code enforcement officer came by, and he had seen, the door was open and my truck was parked in the warehouse, and he said that was a no-no. Is that what I'm gonna say? Okay.
So the answer is yes.
Okay. Anyway, it was a truck.
Were you issued a notice of violation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there's an active code enforcement case. All right, thank you for clarifying that. I believe that's all the questions I have for you right now.
Did you want to say anything,
Well, I just want to say, I mean, we're, like I said, like he said, everything, we're a small business. It's just me and my wife live in the front. We do employ probably about 15 employees, and then, with their wives and husbands. You can look us online, air247.com. We're a 5-star company. You can read what our customers say. We do business all over, Hillsborough County. We're with the BBB. We're a really good company, and we is that all you wanted? Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
I do have a number of letters from some of the employees I'd like to put in the record as well.
Okay.
And Sarah, did you want to make a comment?
Mr. Blevins, I just need you to sign in with the clerk, please. Thank you.
Hi, Sarah Ford, 534 Antigua Way, Mulberry, Florida.
Yes,
So I
ma'am.
just wanted to address, I've been a long-term employee with the company, and it is my family's livelihood. I'm the sole breadwinner for the family, and I depend on the income I get from the company. On the business side, I take great pride as a dispatcher for the company and being able to take care of other families in the community that we stay very busy trying to beat the heat and the cold for the customers. So we do take great pride in that. We're very family-oriented with all the employees, and we do feel as if the customer the company is responsible for the livelihood of all of our employees. So we do our best to take care of them. We don't have hardly any traffic at our facility. The guys take their trucks home so that only if they have to work that day do they come in to the office to get their equipment for the day.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Do you work at the property, at the subject property? Is that where your work is?
Yes, ma'am.
And is your work in, which building on site is your?
In the warehouse in the back.
Okay. All right. How many employees are work there all the time?
In the office full-time, we have myself and one other employee, and then we have a young man that works in the warehouse, cleaning up outside and so forth.
All right, so 3 full-time employees
Yes.
on site?
Yes.
Okay. Anything further you wish to add?
No.
All right. Thank you. Be sure and sign in with the clerk.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just cleaning up.
All right, thank you. We'll hear from staff.
Good evening, Tim Lampkin, Development Services, introducing case 23-1577. The request is to develop an approximately 1.4 acres to allow a single-family home that's existing and a contractor's office that's also existing. The property is located at 3826 South 78th Street, east of 78th and north of Camden Field Parkway. It is within the urban service boundaries and within the limits as the applicant has showed in his PowerPoint, the Greater Palm River Community Plan. The subject property is currently zoned agricultural single-family conventional. Staff notes that approximately 850 feet of the subject site is commercial intensive, located west of the intersection, on the west side of the intersection of South 36th Avenue and 78th Street South. Located on the southwest side of the same intersection is an area designated for future office and commercial pursuant to a PD. Pursuant to the applicant's narrative request, the applicant notes that the existing single-family home was recently improved with landscaping to provide an enhanced residential character view from the street, as they showed. The applicant proposes no open storage and the one residential unit in the front. There are a few variations requested. The first variation, well, there's 3 variations to section 6.06.06. The first 2 are reducing the landscape buffer. The first one is reducing it on the north side of the property from 20 feet with a type B to a 10 foot to a type A. And staff finds that that does meet the criteria. It's located approximately adjacent to the rear of the yard, and it would have less impact, and there's more of a buffer than the second waiver to the south side, which is requesting a waiver from a 20-foot buffer with type B screening to a 3-foot buffer with type A screening. And then there is a third variation that the applicant submitted after the staff report was written, and they submitted that into the record. And the third variation is to the vehicle use area, which requires a 6-foot buffer, and the applicant is only providing a 3-foot buffer. There are 3 actually there's 4. There's 3 design exceptions, administrative variances. The first is for access spacing between the project driveway and the next closest driveway. It has been found approvable by the county engineer. The second is to waive the South 78th Street substandard road improvements. It's also been found approvable. The third is to permit a reduction of the portion of the internal driveways from 24 feet to 20 feet, and it has been found approvable. The fourth is I have a revised staff report, transportation updated to the report to include the variation to the parking requirement from 28, which would be required, to 18 spaces, and found the request approvable. And some of the background information from the ITE was handed out prior to the meeting. Overall, the Planning Commission staff finds it is not consistent with the comp plan, and overall, the request is not supportable. And that concludes staff's presentation, unless you have any questions, and I'll hand out the updated report.
Well, staff found the application not supportable. What are the primary issues that?
The primary issue would be the request for the waiver for the south boundary.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Planning Commission.
Andrea Pappendrew, Planning Commission staff. Zoning hearing master, Tim mentioned, Development Services mentioned that there's a third variation for the vehicle use area buffer submitted after staff report. So Planning Commission staff is obligated by Land Development Code to file 12 days before the hearing. So I'm not sure when that variation was submitted, but if it was after that date, then it would not be taken into consideration for our analysis, and I just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you.
So the site is in the residential 9 future land use category and within the Greater Palm River Community Plan. Policy 1.4 requires all new development to be compatible with the surrounding area, noting that compatibility does not mean the same as, rather it refers to the sensitivity of development proposals and maintaining the character of existing development. The proposed development is not compatible and in scale with the character of the area. Objective 16 and policy 16.2 and 16.3 refer to the need to protect existing neighborhoods and communities, as well as a gradual transition between uses. The property is a residential 9 future land use category, which is also to the northeast and south. To the west is suburban mixed use 6, and to the northwest and southwest is residential 6. The area is composed of single family residential, and the proposed contractor's office increases intensity in the area and is not considered a gradual transition of uses. The proposed enclosed storage area introduces uses that are not compatible with the surrounding residential character. The site does not meet commercial locational criteria. The closest commercial node is Causeway Boulevard and 78th Street, and the property is about 3,700 feet from that intersection. The applicant has offered to restrict that contractor's office to enclose storage of materials and equipment. However, Planning Commission staff finds this proposed use too intensive for the area, and that mitigation is still insufficient. The Greater Palm River Community Plan has a strong desire to balance residential, commercial, and other land uses. Site is not located in an area identified for commercial uses. While the applicant proposes to limit the business activity by providing all operation indoors and function as a dispatch office, Planning Commission staff finds that this type of use is too intensive to be placed in a predominantly residential area. Based upon the above considerations, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed plan development inconsistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we'll go to the public. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? Do not hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, don't hear anyone. Back to Development Services. Anything further?
No, ma'am.
All right. And applicant, I believe the property owner wishes to speak as well.
Can I come back?
Come forward, please.
The stuff that she said, literally like less than 300 feet from me.
All right, we need to hear you on the microphone.
Oh,
Thank
less
you.
than 300 feet from the residential house, there is a company called Action Corrugated. There's over 100 trucks parked in there on less than acres than we have, and it's a commercial business. They're in and out there all day long, so that wasn't true. There's also a 7-Eleven that I can walk to with, like, from here to down to the stairs down there from my house. And like I said, everything's behind there, but if this is how it goes, thanks for, ruining my, I'll be out of business.
Sir, a question for you also.
Because it's not fair, they're not telling everything. Now, you can see it, where the hell, the truth, but go ahead.
You also work on site, is that correct?
Yeah, I just work in the office with the girls.
Okay. And so I believe Ms. Ford said, I think she listed about 3 employees in that, and then you would be in addition to that, right?
Well, and I work there and I work in the field, like I help work
Okay.
on air conditioners, yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr.
Sorry.
Pressman?
We appreciate your consideration. I believe that on the zoning maps, we showed those different activities, and I think we summed up what our position is compared to the staff's. We appreciate your consideration. Place emphasis with multiple notices. There's absolutely no one in opposition. Neighbor next door is in support. We think that's a strong proposal, and we appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. All right, this will close the hearing on rezoning PD 22-1577.
Our next application is item D3, PD rezoning 22-1688. This is a request for rezoning from AS1 to PD. Tanya Chapella with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Which one is it?
Should be the second one.
This one?
No.
It's the number 668.
Let me see the number.
It's this one.
1688.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Thank you. Hearing officer, Todd Pressman, 202nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. This is RZPD 22-1688. It's located in the Ruskin area, located just off of College Avenue. This is the site, as property appraiser has it, on 24th Street Southeast. It's composed of 3 parcels, as you can see here. The issue is AS1 to PD for 2.62 acres to allow for professional services and health practitioners' offices. Development Services supports, Planning Commission finds it consistent. The budding uses to the north is what I would describe as a tiny home use, for lack of a better term. And to the rear is a Metro ready-mix concrete plant and a mini grocery store to the south. Future land use categories intensive SMU6, which is suburban commercial, offices, research parks, light industrial, multi-purpose. See on the zoning map, manufacturing is budding to the rear, and CG's a little bit down 24th. PD plan is professional services and health practitioner services. You have 5 separate footprints with parking. Stub out both to the north and to the south. 24th Street is busy at 12,540 vehicles per day. Per the LOS report, generates a level of service of C or better, and will continue to operate that lever C or better with the project traffic. Southeast 24th Street is designated a 4-lane roadway in the county corridor plan, and the roadway was recently improved to a 4-lane configuration, so a big improvement there. You can see there's good buffering and screening to the north on the north property. This is what abuts the site to the north, so to the side, as I note, is where the project would be. Abutting to the rear and the owners to the west is a cement plant. Development Services note the proposed 0.24 FAR is significantly under the 0.35 maximum FAR. The use is less intense than the allowed uses in the adjacent concrete distribution plant. Would not intrude into the required setbacks, would not decrease required buffers. Type B screening retention pond will exceed the LDC buffering and screening requirements. Planning Commission notes it's compatible with the existing character, meets the intent of neighborhood protection policies. Proposed office will be a gradual transition of intensities and is consistent with the Ruskin Community Plan. Planning Commission also notes, well, again, it's consistent with community plan and includes promoting non-residential development at a scale and design that reflects the character of the community. So with that, we've done as well a couple notices. As I checked online, as of yesterday, there were no letters or emails in the file. Be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Don't have any for you, thank you. All right, Development Services.
Good evening, Tanya Chapela, Development Services staff. The applicant is requesting to rezone from AS1 to PD to allow professional services and health practitioners' offices. The proposed 0.25 FAR is under the 0.35 maximum FAR allowable for offices uses in the SMU6 comprehensive plan category. The surrounding properties to the north and west are zoned for low-density residential uses only, and the project is adjacent to a vacant land zone AS1. However, in the SMU6 future land use, office uses are not subject to the commercial locational criteria. Furthermore, the subject property is nearing a commercial corridor established with CG and CN zoning districts along College Avenue North, approximately 300 feet to the south. Also, the proposed uses are less intense than the allowed uses in the adjacent concrete distribution plant development zone manufacturing. The proposed building area will not intrude into the required setbacks, nor will decrease the required buffers and screening. Moreover, the Type B screening and the retention pond proposed for the most part of the front yard will exceed the LDC buffering and screening requirements. Per the transportation staff report, the proposed rezoning will increase vehicular traffic impacts in the area. However, the building envelope is located mostly in the back of the property and close to the adjacent manufacturing development, reducing potential noise and lighting impacts on the surrounding residential development. Additionally, the proposed mass and bulk of the structures and the 20 feet maximum building height is in harmony with the single-family residential architecture pattern existing in the area. Given the above, staff finds the proposed modification to be compatible with the surrounding properties and in keeping the general development pattern of the area. Staff recommends approval of the applicant's request, subject to conditions. And before I finish my presentation, I just wanted to read the prior to certification conditions to be in the record. So we have, prior to certification, the applicant shall revise the PD site plan to amend the site data table to show a minimum lot size of 43,560 square feet and minimum lot width of 100 feet. Then the condition, the prior to certification number 2 would be to show a 20-foot buffer type B along the southern property line. And finally, amend the site data table to remove the reference to the BPO Business Professional Office and reference the proposed use as professional services and health practitioners services. With this, I conclude my presentation, unless you have any questions.
Okay, and just because I wasn't sure what you were doing there, those certifications are usually in the staff report, and are they not there in this one, or they are?
They are on page 9 of 13, under number 6, proposed conditions.
Okay.
And then there is approval, and then prior to certification, and that's just before the actual conditions of approval.
Okay. I see them. Thank you. All right.
Andrea Papandrew, Planning Commission staff. This site is in the suburban mixed-use 6 future land use category and is within the Ruskin Community Plan and South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan. So the intent of the suburban mixed-use 6 future land use category is to allow for uses that are urban and suburban in intensity and density. Office uses are limited to a 0.35 FAR and are not subject to commercial locational criteria. And the proposed is below the maximum FAR and meets the intent. Policy 1.4 requires all new development to be compatible with the surrounding area. The proposed change is compatible with existing character of development in the area, as it contains other non-residential uses directly to the east. The applicant is meeting all buffering and screening requirements, which will mitigate the proposed from the existing mobile home park to the north. The applicant is also proposing to break up the total square footage into 5 smaller buildings and limit each building to no more than 20 feet in height. The proposed meets the intent of the neighborhood protection policies under Objective 16, with the 20-foot buffer along the northern boundary adjacent to residential. The proposed will serve as a gradual transition of intensities between the light industrial uses to the east and the residential to the north. The applicant is also proposing complementary office uses with transportation and pedestrian connections to the south and north. Proposal is also consistent with the Reskin Community Plan, which seeks to provide opportunities for business growth and jobs. The proposed uses are consistent with the plan's vision for office and light industrial uses. And the proposed 3,500 to 7,000 square foot building sizes also meets the community plan's vision of non-residential development at a scale and design that reflects the character of the community. Planning Commission staff finds the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by the Development Services Department.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? All right, don't hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application?
I do.
We have 2 people online.
All right, please state your name and your address, and then we'll hear your testimony. And we also need to have your video on your screen on. We need to see you. Thank you.
Debbie, go ahead.
Shall I go first?
Yes.
Yeah, hi. My name is Debbie Canine. I own the tiny home community to the north. Myself and the proposed development, we share that boundary. There's a great concern on my part in that the concrete plant behind this proposed development has a retention pond that drains out onto the very northwest corner of that retention pond. The water from the pond runs down onto my property and runs along a ditch that I had to dig with a shovel and an axe to get out to stormwater to relieve the flooding on my property. And it was probably 3 years ago when we had an abundance of rain during the summer that it took place. I don't think since this new owner purchased it that that's been an issue, but I'm super concerned that the only stormwater mitigation that they're proposing is on the south side, where it's not going to help me at all, and I'm really fearful that they're going to adversely affect me with that water runoff. If they move an ounce of soil, I'm going to be in trouble, and I've got septic tanks and a well.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Is anything further?
I should mention, I'm sorry I didn't, that Jim Roush, I talked to him today from the county, and he said he was going to look into that. I'm not opposed to the development. I welcome what they're doing. I just want to make sure that this border between the two of us is addressed properly and it doesn't cause me additional problems.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
I believe we had a Donna Watson on, but it looks like she's disconnected. And I want to just make sure we have a Tefana, but I believe that's with the applicant team.
Okay. All right, anyone else online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? Okay, I do not hear anyone. Then we'll go back to Development Services.
Nothing further, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Applicant, anything further? And would you wish to address the concerns of the neighbor?
Atef Hanna is online. He's the project engineer. He can respond to the stormwater issues. But as you understand, the staff understands, this site will be developed and be required to maintain stormwaters. And I would suggest that since it's vacant now, this should be a great improvement to all neighbors because the site will be developed and under scrutiny of the many different departments and agencies that control stormwater. Can we have Mr. Hanna speak for a moment? Atef, you there? Yeah.
Hi, Atef Hanna, engineer with Beacon Civil.
And your address, please.
7345 Gun Highway, Tampa, Florida. I just want to address the comment that first thing we'll do is just make sure that when we do our drainage, we address not just the site, but the surrounding as well. We want to make sure that we are addressing problems like what she's having. If any ponding in that area, we want to make sure that it's not really a problem in the future. We even go further out to see what the drainage model is doing to evaluate. So it's not just a site. We want to make sure that there is outlet for any water that accumulates anywhere and continuous drainage.
May I say one more thing?
Sure.
Yes.
No.
Oh, okay.
All right. Just a minute. We've already passed the public comment. So, Mr. Pressman, is your stormwater engineer finished with his testimony?
I'm done.
Okay. All right. Do you mind if I go back to the neighbor? I do want to hear from the neighbor. It sounded like your concern was really the runoff water from the cement plant and not necessarily from the subject property. Is that correct?
My concern is that I believe the ditch that's relieving that runoff is shared by both of our property lines. I do have video from the flooding from that pond that I would love to share with Mr. Hanna if I could be allowed to do that.
Okay, we're not going to do that, but I want to go back to the stormwater engineer. And are you familiar with the ditch that the neighbor is speaking about? And
Yes, I am familiar with the low area that is shared between the two properties. And the plan is really to mitigate that area. It's too early for design, but it's part of what we do, and Swift Mud will actually look at this as well as Hillsborough County Engineering Services. Everybody will be looking at that.
Okay. And so it's your testimony, of course, that any stormwater management systems on the subject property will be permitted and will have to go through that review with the Water Management District. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Pressman, anything further?
No, thank you for your consideration.
All right, thank you. This will close the hearing on rezoning PD 22-1688.
Madam Hearing Officer, being as it's close to 8 o'clock, this is typically the time we take a short break.
Okay, let's do that. We'll come back at 8:05.
Your wait time is 3 hours and 30 minutes.
It's okay, Dad. It's just not your day.
I know.
No, I mean it's not your watering day.
Oh, right.
Look!
Sometimes it's just not your day. Hillsborough County limits lawn and landscape watering to specific days in order to preserve year-round conservation. To find out your watering days, just visit hcflgov.net/water restrictions and enter your address.
Flossing in the morning is a really great way to keep your teeth healthy and start the day. But when you're through, here's what you do. Throw it in the trash, don't flush it. There's a problem lots of people don't know, called sanitary sewer overflow. A condition buried deep in the ground, inside of pipes where bad clogs are found. It's a problem we can all help solve, so throw it in the trash, don't flush it. Baby wipes, bandages, cotton pads, paper towels, dental floss, clog up bad. Medicines, kitty litter, cotton swabs, hair. Throw them in the trash, don't flush it. It just takes a second to do the right thing, so toss it and let's keep our pipes clean. Throw it in the trash, don't flush it. If it's not toilet paper, don't flush it. Even if it says you can, don't flush it. If you're having any doubts, don't flush it. One more time, don't flush it.
These are the jobs you may not see every day, but just know we're working hard to make Hillsborough County a better place to live, work, and play. Subscribe to our YouTube page for more great county-related videos, only on HTV.
Is your local business or organization looking to give back to the community? Help keep our roads clean by joining the Adopt a Road program administered by Keep Tampa Bay Beautiful. Keeping our roads clean is a great way for team building as well as exposure for your business. Select the road your business wants to adopt and dispatch a team to remove litter and debris. Participants will receive 2 signs showing their organization's name as well as safety equipment and instructions for cleaning roads. You can help keep Tampa Bay beautiful by adopting your own road today. To learn more, visit hcflgov.net/cleanhc.
All right, we'll reconvene. Welcome back to the July 24, 2023 Zoning Hearing Master Meeting. I think we're ready for the next case.
Sure. The next item is item D4, PD application 23-0181. The applicant is requesting to rezone from AS1 to PD. Tanya Chapella with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening, Cammie Corbett again with the law firm of Hill, Ward, and Henderson, and I do have a presentation. There you go. I'm here representing Hope Children's Home. They're a private Christian children's home and school founded in 1968, and they serve children of all ages from the nursery to high school. And I do have a brief video for you. They could play the video upstairs.
The world was supposed to be a happy place. A place where we could create, make memories, laugh, and just be kids. Any opportunity would be at our fingertips. We weren't supposed to worry about what we were going to eat or drink. We were supposed to be protected by those that loved us. Or at least, that's what we believed.
My stepmom was abusive. I've never met my mom. My stepdad hit me. I needed a mommy and daddy. My family didn't want me.
I was abused, neglected.
The cops were always at our house.
I never went to school.
We were living in the woods. I didn't
I just
know
needed
what love
love.
was. I went to 10.
I struggled to find a family. then we found hope.
Hope in Christ can be found by some in church, in a family member, by a pastor, and it can even be found in a children's home. At Hope Children's Home, we take these children who have been broken and we love them, hopefully more than they have ever been loved before, caring for their needs as if they are a part of our own family. We educate them, teaching them to strive for academic excellence and break the cycle their families have found themselves in. This method has been proven for over 50 years at our home in Tampa, Florida. God has allowed us to expand to New Mexico, the country of Honduras, and more recently to reach mothers in crisis and rescue babies from abortion through a new ministry initiative called Bundles of Hope. Bundles of Hope is being built with the most vulnerable in mind. We plan to give women an alternative choice by allowing her to place the baby with Bundles of Hope while she makes necessary life changes, so that they will in time be able to be reunited again. We have an eternal calling to help these children, children who have been so deeply hurt by the world that their faith in humanity and God is non-existent. It's our mission to rescue the abandoned, abused, and homeless child and to show them the love of Christ, to introduce them to the one who can take the broken and make it beautiful. We are raising a new generation, a generation who believes again.
As you can see, the existing children's home is a unique campus fulfilling a very important need in the community. The subject property is located in the southwest edge of Carrollwood. We are south of Gun Highway and north of Linebaugh, and we are west of Henderson Road. This is the existing future land use. It is Res 4. And if you look at the existing zoning, you'll see a distinction between the eastern pattern development and the western pattern development. The purple site is actually the children's home site, and the site next to it is actually the subject site subject to the rezoning. All of the property in blue is zoned PD for a suburban development pattern. You've got the CI along Gun, but there's a very distinct AS1 development pattern to the west. This is the existing campus that was approved through a PD in 1989. You can see the cottages and the school building. And then this is the adjacent property that's subject to this rezoning. And keep in mind that pool that you can see in the aerial. This property has been owned by Hope since 2008, and it actually has an existing structure. It has a barn. It has some chicken coops. They have the pool there. And so it's serving as sort of an accessory to the children's home now. But we are bringing it in for rezoning to ask for the ability to develop up to 9 single-family structures on the property. The site plan is fairly straightforward. They are single-family style structures. The land will remain under common ownership. These will not be platted. They are for exclusive use by Hope's Children's Home, and you'll see a zoning condition that specifically conditions the use of those to the operations of the adjacent children's home. They want to continue to have the accessory uses, and we are asking for a PD variation to maintain the existing buffers. Just quickly to go through some images, additional images of the adjacent property and the development pattern. These are some of the cottages. This is the interior of some of the cottages. This is a school room. This is the outdoor playground. You can see it's very rural in nature. And this is the swimming pool. And you can see that it is in use by the children's home. It's very well maintained. And then this is a picture looking from the existing Hope Children's Home property east to the proposed development site, and you can see that pool is located on that property. This is a street view, and you can see again the pool is on the left side. You've got the barn, and you can see the single-family structure there. This is the roadway, and that is their picket, rural-style fence, and then the large oak trees and grand trees that we want to preserve and that we're preserving in lieu of providing a code-required buffer and screen. This is also at the end of the roadway. This road dead ends at basically before the end of the Hope property. And just want to show you that what's happening there. You see the green line? You can see the green line shows that roadway that Ms. Jansky does not connect through to the other side. It's under private ownership there, and that's a horse ranch. It's a private horse ranch in the Breeze Horse Ranch. There's also a parrot sanctuary to the west, as far as also a Whispering Oaks equestrian business there. And I'm going to be putting into the record information about those agricultural uses, but those are also long-standing uses that have been in the area. And then at the bottom, you've got one single-family home on 15.46 acres.
Ms. Corbett, where's the dead end on this area?
If you look on where the green, there's a sort of, if you look to the east of the main in the Breeze Horse Ranch property, that green, I guess, segment from the east to the west, that's where it's located. That's where it stops. So you can see the Hope property actually goes beyond where that dead end is. So you can't access that. The access point for the children's home is a little bit, right as you get to the right of way.
So that road doesn't continue on and serve those subdivisions that are, or the subdivision that's on the south side of the road?
There's an entrance there.
Okay.
And it does serve that subdivision, but that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And I wanted to show you the uniqueness of this particular area because according to the Planning Commission, we're not consistent with the Greater Carrollwood Community Plan, and I respectfully disagree with that. The vision of the Greater Carrollwood Northdale Community Plan is to preserve unique character of differing neighborhoods. Goal 2 specifically says they want to reinforce community identity and promote focal points to reflect uniqueness of neighborhoods. And then also new development should be mindful of mass and scale. And that's what we're trying to do, is be mindful of the mass and scale of the adjacent children's home. It also calls to build on strengths for educational and recreational assets and expand each neighborhood's culture. And again, this is a neighborhood in and of itself. It's a little bit unique in that respect because it is that agricultural node, but it is distinct from their suburban development pattern. And then also goal 8 to preserve maintenance, open space and integrate open space into the development. And then goal 10 to promote educational opportunities for students. This is the concept plan from that community plan. There's nothing in particular happening in that subject area. You see it's just sort of marked off for flex bus service, but it really wasn't the focal point of this community plan. It really was along Dale Mabry and then the 4 main neighborhoods in Carrollwood and Northdale. Also, the Planning Commission asserts that we are not consistent, or that we don't meet minimum density, which of course we do not, but they say that we don't meet the exemptions for minimum density, and again, we respectfully disagree with that. Development of 28 single-family homes on this property would not be compatible with the existing children's home and the integrated recreational uses that are currently occurring on the site. And we also believe that that kind of density would adversely impact the development pattern of the children's home, which is a large 45-acre tract directly adjacent to this parcel. And requiring the construction of 28 single-family homes on this property is just simply not compatible in our opinion. And we respectfully disagree with their opinion, as does Development Services, that you will hear in their analysis. But what we are proposing will allow Hope to continue its mission on a scale that is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. We did have a neighborhood meeting with the adjacent property owners association of Ravina, and we have a very close relationship with them, or Hope has a very close relationship with them, and they were very pleased to hear about the limited scope of the development. That was one of their main concerns, was additional transportation impacts on their roadway, and they are very much in support of the minimizing the number of units that could be constructed here. I mean, quite honestly, we could have gone through a charade where we said we're asking for 28 homes and then only built 9 homes, but that's not really truly in the spirit of what we're planning to do here. We want it to be honest and come forward with what we're proposing, and we do believe that it's consistent and compatible with the surrounding area, the comprehensive plan, and the land development code. And with that, we'd respectfully request your approval, and I'm here to answer any questions should you have any.
I don't think I have any questions for you. Thank you. All right, Development Services.
Good evening. Tanya Chabela, Development Services staff. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from AS1, agricultural single family, to planned development to allow a total of 9 detached dwelling units, serving the staff who are on site providing care and education at the adjacent properties on PD 89-0043. The parcel is located along Mushinsky Road, a local road. The property is located approximately 2,500 feet west of the intersection with Henderson Road. The surrounding properties to the north, east, and west are zoned for residential uses with a maximum density of 3.8 dwelling units per acre. Per the Planning Commission staff report, the proposed density does not comply with the comprehensive plan minimum density policies. The proposed 9 residential units equivalent to 0.95 dwelling units per acre do not meet the minimum density of 28 dwelling units equivalent to 75% of the 4 dwelling units per acre required in the RES 4 future land use. However, Development Services staff finds the proposed detached residential units are in harmony with the surrounding land uses while maintaining the existing height, scale, and bulk of structure patterns. The project is intended to serve exclusively the institutional development to the west, which results in the continuity of the land use and visual character of the area, and does not create additional landscaping, lighting, noise, other, or architectural impacts. Staff concurs with the applicant's justification for the requested variation to remove the buffer requirements along the side and rear yards and to replace the screening requirements to keep existing mature vegetation on the property. As noted in the applicant's justification statement, the sites established natural buffering and screening. In addition to the wall is a preferred means of accomplishing what the code seeks to do in section 60606, as it leaves the existing visual character and feel on the site and thereby the surrounding area undisturbed. Furthermore, the proposed density will have minimal impact on the transportation network and will not generate additional pedestrian or vehicular traffic, circulation, access, and parking impacts. Per the transportation staff, the proposed rezoning would not result in a difference in trips potentially generated by the development of the subject site. It's also noted that Mushinsky Road dead ends at the adjacent property to the west. Given the above, staff finds the proposed modification to be compatible with the surrounding properties and in keeping with the general development pattern of the area. Staff recommends approval of the applicant's request subject to condition. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions.
Did staff, Development Services staff, have a concern at all about this proposed development not meeting the minimum density of the comprehensive plan?
We do not have, and we based our findings on the very idea of compatibility that is about not increasing or adding any impacts. So we were basing the findings on the adjacent uses that are actually detached structures, even though they're high density planned developments, they still are single family. So that portion or that part of the findings was the base one. And also in regards to the transportation staff, well, I would like to have the transportation staff responding on that section too. But yeah, we do find the request supportable.
Okay, I guess since you've said that, we should have transportation staff speak to that. Is that related to the fact that there's a dead end there? Okay. Is there someone from transportation who could speak to that question?
Good evening. For the record, James Ratliff, Transportation Review Section. I'm not sure I understood the question, so I'm going to need a little help with that.
My question to staff, and I'm not sure transportation could speak to this exactly, but my question to staff was there concern from development services staff about the fact that this proposed development wouldn't meet the minimum density requirement under the comprehensive plan? And we noted that there's a dead end just to the west of this property. So maybe that would involve an opinion by transportation staff.
So our review is going to, generally in terms of the minimum density policy, that's going to be something that's handled between, the Planning Commission and Development Services zoning staff. We review the application that's directly in front of us. So we did not consider the application from the standpoint of the hypothetical of additional units. It's possible that those additional units could be supported without any problem, but since that was not the proposal put before the county engineer or before staff, that we again only looked at it from the standpoint of the specific proposal that was in.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ratliff. I think I don't have any more questions for you then. Thank you so much. All right, Planning Commission.
Andrea Papandrew, Planning Commission staff. Site is in the residential 4 future land use category and within the greater Carrollwood-Northdale community plan. Policy 1.2 requires that all new development or redevelopment shall occur at a density of at least 75% of the allowable density of the future land use category. In this case, the site's future land use category allows for up to 37 dwelling units. The total proposed 9 units would fall significantly under that 75% density requirement for development in the urban service area. As stated previously, policy 1.3 allows for certain exemptions to minimum density. The applicant states that the proposed would adversely impact the existing development pattern of the area if they were required to meet that 75% minimum density. This is not a true representation of the dense residential surrounding uses adjacent to the site directly north, east, and south. The property to the east has an estimated 96 dwelling units, to the south an estimated 38 dwelling units, and the proposed 9 dwelling units would vastly reduce the density of the site to 1 unit per gross acre. The applicant has stated that Mushinsky Road is substandard and that transportation infrastructure is not adequate to support 30 units. Transportation staff's finding indicates that the current infrastructure is sufficient for the proposed development, but they have not provided any indication that meeting that minimum 75% density would have any negative impacts to the right-of-way infrastructure. The proposed rezoning does not meet policies under Objective 16. Policy 16.8 argues for new residential projects to reflect the overall density and lot sizes of the area. The applicant is not meeting minimum density requirements, and that would greatly disrupt the development pattern of the overall area, as well as the ability to maximize density in the urban service area. Goal 8 of the community design component aims at preserving existing suburban uses as viable residential alternatives to urban and rural areas. Objective 12-1 and Goal 12 require that new development should recognize the existing communities and be designed in a manner that is compatible with the established character. The proposed 9 units will not be platted as individual single-family lots, but as a multi-family with shared accessory uses and access drives, and the surrounding single-family residential dwelling units all have individual lot sizes and lot lines. It is also inconsistent with the Greater Carrollwood-Northdale Community Plan, in which new development shall use compatibility design techniques to ensure the appearance, mass, and scale of each development is integrated with the existing character of the area. Based upon the above considerations, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed plan development inconsistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan.
Okay, just a question for you about, in transportation's comments, of course, that they just testified, were that they evaluated the application before them and not necessarily proposed development that would comply with the 75% density. So I understand your report, but it doesn't seem to really address, I mean, transportation didn't, you're not suggesting that transportation actually evaluated that and made an opinion or a decision, just that they...
No, I'm not suggesting
Okay.
that. What I'm suggesting in our staff report, let me clarify that, is that policy 1.3 does have, an exemption within it that infrastructure that is not planned or programmed to support development can be an exemption to minimum density. But transportation, when they review an application, they're looking at what's proposed.
Exactly.
And not the minimum density that can be achieved. So what I'm saying is that there's no indication or provided to staff from transportation or the applicant that infrastructure would not be programmed or planned to support development at minimum density. So I would say, like, when we're reviewing minimum density, the burden of proof is really on the applicant to show us how those exemptions have been met, and it hasn't been done in this case.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? Don't hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right. Don't hear anyone. Back to Development Services.
Madam Hearing Officer, I would just add to some of the comments that Ms. Chappella stated in terms of Development Services perspective on the minimum density concern. And for Development Services, for our review of this, we found this to be quite a unique situation, whereas it's not a standalone neighborhood. It is something that's tied to an institutional use, and that the applicant has conditioned that they will always be under common ownership. So that was another point, I guess, to bring up to you as to why we made our recommendation.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Back to the applicant then.
Cami Corbett again. Just to reiterate, I think even Ms. Pappendrew's statements about what we were proposing are consistent with what the map I showed you. She said we were proposing about 1 unit to the acre. As I testified earlier, the development pattern to the west is AS1. It is filled with large lot acreages, and 1 acre is completely consistent with that development pattern. This is a unique situation where you have subdivisions to the east and then agricultural to the west, but I do think that there's a clearly distinct area, and they are very different. And I think the presence of the dead-end road emphasizes that. And so I respectfully disagree with her position that we have not met our burden to show that we meet an exemption. I think we have shown that we are compatible, proposing a density that's compatible with the existing use that this rezoning is tied to, and we would respectfully request your approval.
All right. A question for you. Could you point me, please, to competent substantial evidence in the record that supports a finding that this proposed rezoning is consistent with the comprehensive plan?
Yes, I would point you to the Development Services staff report and the remarks made by Ms. Heinrich and Ms. Chappella.
Okay. All right.
And then the documentation that you've seen in terms of with the evidence of the community plan, as well as the photographic evidence of what the actual area is, and the video evidence of the proposed development adjacent to it and that development pattern, and the consistency between those two developments.
Is there any expert witness report or technical analysis or anything of that question in the record?
Again, Ms. Heinrich's analysis of that issue is a technical report, an expert testimony on Development Services are experts in planning and zoning as well.
Thank you. I agree with you. I should have said that the applicant has submitted.
Right. No.
Okay. That's fine. All right. Thank you very much.
You're
welcome. That closes the hearing on rezoning PD 23-0181.
Our next item is D5, PD application 23-0184. This is a request for rezoning from RSC 6 and AR to PD. Chris Granlenard with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening, Madam Hearing Master. My name is Tyler Hudson. My address is 400 North Ashley Drive. I'm here on behalf of Safeguard Self-Storage, and with me here this evening is Stan Bonilla from Safeguard, who will speak shortly. Also joined by a suite of experts who have worked very hard on this application. Our civil engineer is Campo Engineering, our traffic planner is Palm Traffic, and our general contractor and planner is Mike Carter Construction. We worked very long and very hard with staff to make this presentation relatively short. And I'd like my colleague Alex Shaler to come up and walk through the application. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Alex Shaler, 400 North Ashley Drive for the record. This site is located in the northeast corner of 21st Street Southeast and East College Avenue. It's about 6.35 acres. As you can see, it's mostly bordered by right-of-way. 5th Ave Southeast is also located to the north. This is a larger assemblage. It's 6 different parcels that make up the land within the site. And as you can see on the screen here, to the north, there's some residential single-family homes. There's some mobile homes to the northeast corner. But as you progress south along the eastern property line, closer to College Avenue, there's some commercial uses. There's a commercial use, as you can see, directly across from 21st Street Southeast. And I'd like to note that just south of where this photo cuts off, there is also another mini warehousing facility as well over there on the other side of East College Avenue. So the PD that we have before you tonight, it's a 2-phase proposal. The phases function relatively, almost identically similar. There's just one difference, and that's that the first phase, there's an outdoor boat and RV storage component. That's shown highlighted in that yellow area. It complies with section 61160. It's completely shielded from the external portions of the site. There's 4 buildings proposed in phase 1. There's building A, that's the main facility closest to College Avenue. That's about 58,000 square feet. That is a 2-story climate-controlled building. The other 3 buildings shown surrounding the outdoor storage area are the traditional storage facilities. And those are much smaller in massing and in square footage as well. And then we have the stormwater retention proposed to the north and to the east. This was done intentionally as a separate buffering technique, and I'll get into that a little bit later in detail in the compatibility section of our presentation. So again, phase 2, very similar to phase 1, the functionality. There's that single access point off of College Avenue to the south. As you can see, that portion I had shaded in yellow on the previous slide is now shown in gray. That's building E, that'll be 54,000 square feet. It's very similar to building A, 2-story climate-controlled facility. This is a rendering of the proposal. This is phase 1, showing the outdoor boat and RV storage completely internal to the site. You can see the stormwater retention areas that I mentioned, and I would like to note that, as you can see in this photo, I mean, most of these, all of the buildings are pretty removed from the surrounding property lines, and that was also done intentionally as well. So this is in the SMU 6 future land use category. SMU 6 has a maximum FAR of, or maximum standard FAR of 0.25. However, for light industrial uses, you're able to obtain an additional 0.25 to bring the maximum permissible FAR to 0.5. However, that 0.25 additional is not a given. It's something that is based on developer commitments and specific site design. And as Tyler mentioned earlier, we worked really, really hard with Planning Commission to make sure that what we proposed was something that would meet their standards for that additional FAR bump, as well as compatibility. So most of our proposed commitments are related to an enhanced building design. That was something that they had requested. I won't get into the specific details of these conditions. They've been included in the application, so they're already in the record. But it includes horizontal building shift, transparency, specific materials, the orientation of these materials on the building. And then we also have a separate component related to buffering. All of our type B landscape buffers on the site will include trees planted at 15 feet on center in lieu of the code required standard 20. This is to provide a denser tree canopy, again enhancing buffering from those surrounding residential areas. So that leads me into compatibility. I just wanted to touch on some of the points that I've referenced throughout the presentation, those stormwater ponds located to the north and to the east, the enhanced type B buffers, which are not shown on the rendering, but they are listed on the site plan and the conditions of approval. And we have a minimum 30-foot building setback. That's in that pinch point in the northeast corner. That's the lowest building setback that we have adjacent to residential throughout the site. There's a 60-foot building setback to the east, 120 feet to the north. All of these buildings have a maximum height. The traditional storage buildings have a traditional height of about 12 feet 8 inches. So as you can see, in terms of massing, they're very, very compatible to the surrounding area, and we are not requesting a waiver to the 2-to-1 ratio for height setback. We're completely compliant with that. As Tyler mentioned earlier as well, we are proud to have staff support with this application. Development Services found this application approvable. We have a consistency finding from the Planning Commission, no objections from Transportation or any of the other reviewing departments as well. And with that, I will bring up Stan Bonilla and have him talk a little bit about Safeguard and some of the work that they've done previously in the county.
Thank you very much, Alex, and thank you all for having us here, and thank you for the team that helped put this together. We've worked very hard with staff and with the team. This will be our 8th property in the Tampa MSA.
Before you go on, could I ask you please name and address for the record?
Yes, thank you. My name is Stanley Bonilla. I'm the Executive Vice President for Safeguard Self-Storage. My address is 1522 Old Country Road, Plainview, New York. Came down for the week, brought my family with me for vacation, so thank you for having me. Okay. Safeguard Self-Storage. Why am I here? Safeguard has about 84 properties nationally. 26 of them are here in the state of Florida. A few years ago, we made the decision to grow in the great part of town over here, the Tampa MSA. We've built 7 properties here, actually built 6 properties and bought 1 property in Citrus Park. We were before you twice before for phase 1 and phase 2 of our Seffner store. Looks very much like this property. Something that we try to do, and we did very well in Seffner, is work with the community, work with the county, work with our neighbors to build a property that serves our neighbors. We're very proud that when we go into a community that we are the best in service and best in class in that community. That's the reputation that we've built, and that's what we look to continue here in Ruskin. We also hopefully will be before you one more time with another property in a few months, but I'll leave that preview for the next one. Any questions, we'll be here for you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, Development Services.
Good evening. Chris Cranlenard again, Development Services. Here to present PD 23-0184. The approximate 6.35 acre property is comprised of 6 parcels. Folio 55520 is a vacant parcel zoned RSC 6 with a mobile home overlay. The rest of the parcels are vacant and zoned AR, agricultural rural. The site is generally located 280 feet northeast from the intersection of East College Avenue and 21st Street Southeast. The applicant proposes to develop a self-storage and RV boat storage facility in phases. The area consists mostly of single-family residential, agricultural, and commercial. To the north of the subject property is adjacent to AR. To the south, the property is adjacent to CG and AS1. To the east, the property is adjacent to AR and RSC 6. And to the west, the property is adjacent to commercial intensive, agricultural rural, and commercial general. The subject property is designated suburban mixed use 6 on the future land use map. The Planning Commission finds the proposed use consistent with the comp plan. The surrounding uses to the south and west at the intersection of East College Avenue and 21st Street Southeast are similar to the request, which is commercial. Also, East College Avenue is a principal arterial conducive to high levels of commercial traffic. Therefore, the rezoning to the subject parcel from RSC 6 and AR to PD with a self-storage and RV boat storage facility use would be consistent with the existing zoning pattern of the area. Based on the suburban mixed-use future land use classification, the surrounding zoning and development pattern, the proposed uses, the planned development district, Staff finds the request approvable, subject to proposed conditions. That concludes my report. Glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. No questions for you.
Thank you.
Planning Commission.
Andrea Papandrew, Planning Commission staff. Planning Commission staff's review was based on application materials submitted on or before July 12th, which is our legally mandated filing deadline per the Land Development Code. So anything submitted into optics after that date was not taken into consideration by staff. After discussions with Development Services, Planning Commission staff was told that the 20% waiver for open storage was not needed, as it does not apply for the suburban mixed-use 6 future land use category. So the site is in the suburban mixed-use 6 future land use category and within the Ruskin Community Plan and the South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan. The site is compatible with Objective 1 and Policy 1.4 on compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood and uses. The site is located adjacent to the intersection of 21st Street Southeast and East College Avenue, where there are several other light and heavy commercial uses. The applicant's also proposing access on the south end to help protect the single-family uses north and east of the site. The applicant has requested the maximum allowable FAR of 0.5 for light industrial uses, which is allowed as long as there are enhanced site and building design standards. Per the conditions of approval, these standards do include cosmetic designs on the southern, eastern, and western building facades, and those have already been in the Planning Commission report and stated by the applicant, so I'm not going to read those back into the record. The proposed zoning is consistent with Objective 16 and its policies on establishing the need to protect existing neighborhoods and communities. The site plan does have stormwater ponds on the north and east sides and enhanced setbacks on the north and east. And the phase 1 was going to orient the buildings around the proposed vehicle storage. All these measures will ensure compatibility with the single-family uses directly north and east. During phase 2, the vehicular storage area will be replaced by a 5th mini storage building. Site does not meet commercial locational criteria and a waiver was submitted. Applicant indicates that the future land use designation permits the use of commercial uses as part of its mixed use nature. The waiver also establishes that the proposed use is suitable for East College Avenue as it is a heavily traveled roadway. The use generates an inherently low number of daily trips as opposed to more intensive commercial uses. Planning Commission staff have reviewed this commercial locational criteria waiver and find the request was supportable as the site is surrounded by several other light commercial and heavy commercial uses, and the proposed use, buffering, site location, and enhanced design standards make this proposal suitable. The site is located within the limits of the South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan, which seeks to pursue economic development activities by identifying lands available for commercial and industrial development, and the plan also recognizes preferred development patterns. It also meets the intent of Goal 7 of the Ruskin Community Plan, which encourages commercial uses along East College Avenue east of 21st Street. Based on this, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed major modification consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by the Development Services Department.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? Do not hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, do not hear anyone. Back to Development Services.
Nothing further, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Applicant? Okay, thank you. This closes the hearing on rezoning PD 23-0184.
Our next application is item D6, PD 23-0193. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from ASC1 to Plain Development. Chris Greenlenard will present staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
I have full confidence in you. Yeah, that's it. Yep, thank you. Good evening, Hearing Officer Todd Pressman, 202nd Avenue South, number 451, St. Petersburg. This is 23-0193, located in the Brandon area. The issue is ASC1 to PD. to expand the community residential home type A from 6 beds to 8 beds, which would be a type B, 1.16 acres, more or less. This site has served as a type A for 6 years. They have a very good operating history, no complaints we're aware of. Development Services notes that the area consists of mostly residential and agricultural uses. Planning Commission notes it's consistent and meets the policy direction of the Brandon Gardens Estate Character District, compatible with the existing development pattern. Development Services also approves, finds request PD compatible with the existing zoning development pattern in the area. Zoning map is very simple, very straightforward. This is the site south of Giles Road on Bell Shoals. And a little closer per the property appraiser, this is the site. Very low trip generation would be 5 trips in a 24-hour, 0 in the AM, 1 in the PM. There's no change to the building footprint or main or residential appearance. There's no expansion for the addition of 2 beds. It will all be internal. This is a photo of the site from the roadway. And this is the rear of the site, which has a very nice setting. And again, another photo. There's a waiver with this application. A type B should not be located within 500 feet from a non-agricultural RSC zoning category. Again, we present to you that the type A has been there for 6 years. There's no complaints, no problems. Checked the record yesterday, and there were no communications in the file. The expansion is all interior. There's no home footprint expansion. It'll remain residential character. The parking area is already paved. Community residential home is an important use in the community. It allows older residents, senior residents to stay in the community near their homes, or near their families. Promotes easier and close by visits, which is good to have as a support system. This has extremely low trips, and clearly this use produces no noise, no parties, no backyard pools. It's a very quiet neighborhood use. So with that, we appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Pressman, be sure and sign in for this one. Thank you. Development Services.
Chris Granlinard again. Development Services, here to present PD 23-0193. The approximate 1.16 acre parcel is zoned ASC 1, agricultural single-family conventional, with a single-family home that is used as a community residential home type A with 6 residents. The site is located at 3005 Bell Shoals Road. The area consists mostly of residential and agricultural uses. The subject property is adjacent to single-family residential zoned RSC 3 to the north and RSC 2 to the south and east. To the west across Bell Shoals Road is a pasture zoned ASC 1. The request is to rezone the parcel from ASC 1 to a planned development in order to expand the community residential home from 6 beds to a community residential home type B with 8 beds. Per LDC section 61128.A, a proposed community residential home type B must be located at least 1,200 feet from other community residential homes type B or C in a multifamily zoning, and at least 500 feet from an area of non-agricultural RSC single-family zoning. These distances are measured from the nearest point of the existing community residential home or area of a single-family zoning to the nearest point of the proposed community residential home. The applicant has provided documentation from the Agency for Health Care Administration, the Florida Department of Children and Families, and the Agency for Persons with Disabilities, which shows that no other community residential homes types B or C exist within 1,200 feet of the proposed facility. The applicant requests relief from the Land Development Code section 611.28.A, which requires a community residential home type B not be located 500 feet from a non-agricultural single-family RSC zoning. The subject parcel is surrounded by RSC single-family zoning to the north, south, and east. The applicant argues that the site has already been a community residential home with 6 beds for many years. The expansion for the 2 new beds will be entirely internal, so there'll be no exterior home footprint changes. The applicant states that there will be no negative impact into the abutting residential. Also, there's no additional scaling up for the 2 additional beds. The property will remain, according to the applicant, the property will remain residential in character. Staff does not object to the requested waiver and concurs with the applicant's justification for relief from this requirement. The area for delineated parking is to the side and rear in an area already paved. Therefore, the current residential character of the area will not be adversely impacted by the provision of required parking. The subject property is designated residential 4 on the future land use map. The Planning Commission found the proposed use consistent with the comprehensive plan. The surrounding uses are similar to the request residential. Therefore, the rezoning of the subject parcel from ASC 1 to PD with a community residential home type B with 8 beds use is consistent with the existing zoning pattern of the area. Based on the residential 4 future land use classification, the surrounding zoning and development pattern, and the proposed uses for the plan development district, staff finds the request approvable, subject to the proposed conditions. That concludes my staff report. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. No questions for you.
Thank you.
Planning Commission?
Andrea Pappendrew, Planning Commission staff. The site is in the residential 4 future land use category and within the Brandon community plan. The request for 8 beds is well below the maximum density permitted per policy 20.6. Policy 1.4 and objective 12-1 and policy 12-1.4 of the community design component discuss how new development shall be compatible with the established character of the surrounding area. The proposed community residential home type B is compatible as existing footprint will not change and a type A facility already exists. The site is surrounded by residential 4 on all sides and surrounded by mainly by agricultural uses, single family neighborhoods, and vacant residential land. The proposed meets the intent of objective 16 and policy 16.1, 16.2, 16.3, and 16.10. The proposal includes appropriate setbacks and buffers, and there's an existing pond that serves as a buffer from the properties to the east. Policy 17.1, residential support uses must be compatible with the surrounding land uses and zoning per the design intensity and scale. A community residential home qualifies as a residential support use. As stated by the Department of Development Services, while the proposed does not meet that 500-foot distance requirement, the county has found the waiver request to be supportable and meets policy 17.1. Per policy 20.5, the development of congregate living facilities will be allowed within each of the land use plan categories that permits residential development. The proposed residential community home is allowed in the residential 4 future land use category. The proposed meets the intent of the Brandon community plan. The Garden Estates Character District states that these areas consist predominantly of single-family homes with lot sizes of at least half an acre. The site contains a single-family dwelling and is on at least 1/2 acre lot. Based on this, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to conditions proposed by the Development Services Department.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? Do not hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, do not hear anyone. Development Services, anything further?
No, ma'am.
All right. And applicant, anything further?
No, we appreciate your consideration.
All right, thank you. This closes the hearing on rezoning PD 23-0193.
Our next application is item D7, PD 23-0257. The applicant is requesting to rezone property from ASC 1 to plan development. Tim Lampkin with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
You're looking at me. This one? Yep. Okay. Thank you. Good evening, Hearing Officer Todd Pressman, 202nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. This site is in Brandon, as indicated on the mapping for you, as the property appraiser has it. This application is seeking a Type C community residential home with a 100-bed maximum. It's assisted living for senior citizens and disabled needing assisted daily care, 2.49 acres, again, 100-bed maximum. This is used to what have typically, as you typically find, a common dining room, transportation services, daily living support provided. Nurses provide some care and licensed through ACHA. Development Services notes it's in harmony and intent with the LDC and meets its unit conversion factor. Planning Commission notes it's consistent with the goals, objectives, and compatible, and proposed rezoning meets the intent of Goal 6 and consistent with the Brandon Community Plan. The project site is located as shown, and the applicant owns the property that allows access on Bloomingdale Avenue, as you can see here. Dr. Narani is here. It's great people, as I've been working with them. And she's known as the best primary care doctor in Riverview, along with her husband as well. She's been in practice 20 years. She has additional training in hospice care. Practice has been predominantly servicing over 65-year plus and accomplished a lot of nursing home and assisted living work throughout her career. She's, as we indicated, a primary care doctor for 20 years. Received her medical degree from Kasturba Medical College, completed her residency in Montgomery, Norristown, Pennsylvania, went on to complete a fellowship in hospice and palliative care. The site is in the SMU 6 category, which includes suburban commercial offices, light industrial, multi-purpose, and mixed use. You see we have an R16 next to us and SMU surrounding. We are seeking a flex from the east side of the R16 and zoning in the Brandon area, which allows or has a Walgreens on one side, on Bloomingdale, auto repair on the other. There's an approved 4-story apartments on the west, single-family homes to the north and to the east. We have McNeil Engineering handling this. They do a great job. The amount of trips was an exemption in terms of transportation impacts. The proposed PD plan, as you can see, is really kind of broken up into a number of different parts. In the rear is a 35-foot buffer. Screening would be a type B, 10-foot type B, or natural growth, whichever is denser and higher provides a better screening. Depending upon the stormwater pond needs, they may be able to provide more than just the 10-foot, depends upon at development time, but we want to move forward to provide as much buffering as we can. We then have a 108-foot building setback that we've just titled as a passive activity area for that distance because we wanted a sensitivity to the single-family homes to the rear. And this is the building area in the middle, which would be a 2-story assisted living facility, and in front of that would be the vehicular area for circulation and dropping off and picking up. And again, the Narani existing medical office is located between the proposed use and Bloomingdale Avenue. There was quite a number of conditions involving requirement of residential appearance. There's a lot of details we received from staff, which we were happy to work with them to ensure the site has a residential component. These are part of the staff report. What's interesting is approved abutting on the west is a 4-story multifamily. I'm showing you today's site, and next to it is the PD plan. The west project only provides a 68-foot rear structure setback. We provide a much more deeper setback, and we're not nearly as high as the use next door. Again, we wanted to provide as much sensitivity to the owners to the rear. The east side is two separate residential structures that are located pretty far away. One on the east is 128 feet from the property line. As I had it, you can see there's a lot of forestation. And the other home to the east is I had it about 174 feet per Google as well. A lot of distance, a lot of separation to the east. This is just a shot of the rear existing buffer to let you an idea, or the natural growth, as you can see what exists, and this is on the other side of the rear. So waivers, the first is to allow 214 feet, reducing from 500 required, allowing a separation of 286 feet, more or less, to the east for residential zoning. I showed you there's a lot of natural forestation and distance there. Second is allow 392 feet, allowing a separation of 108 feet to the north on the RSC4 homes. Staff supports these due to the distance involved and additional buffering. North will be an existing type B, or again, or whichever is better. In regard to the height, the 2-foot additional setback for every foot over 20 is a 35-foot height, proposed at 2-story. Staff supports that as well due to the abutting west side is closer and higher. Placement to the rear for compatibility in residential elements and residential appearance. There's a number of variations, reducing the 20-foot wide B buffer, screening, reduce the buffer along the southern perimeter to type from B to A, and reduce the 20-foot type B to a 5-foot type A, which is shown. Actually, that's a good graphic from the staff report, which are also all supported. To the west, no buffer is actually required. The abutter is 68 feet away. They're going to install enhanced screening on their side. The north, again, is the distance and additional buffering we're providing. Planning Commission, again, notes it's compatible, allows transition, located to the south, and residential uses located to the north. Also, request meets the intent of the Brandon Community Plan, which seeks to concentrate density in the urban general character district, ensuring that all changes be compatible to preserve the neighborhoods. We did host a community meeting. We noticed 59 homeowners at a 500-foot distance. As you can see, I believe 4 or 5 folks showed up. They were very comfortable with the proposal, met for about an hour and discussed that with them. As of yesterday, I didn't see any comments online, and there were a couple of notices that were sent out for the project. So with that, we appreciate your consideration and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Could you just walk me through the variances that you're requesting, the buffer and screening ones? And they're in the staff report 1, 2, and 3. I'm not sure how you have them on your presentation, but let's see, 20-foot wide type B buffer and screening required. I guess this one is confusing a little bit. In the staff report, it says beginning at the southern boundary and extending north 107 feet. Is that on the west side of the property adjacent to a non-residential use?
My understanding is that's on the west side.
Okay.
On the west side, of which is the multifamily that's being built now, and they will have enhanced screening on their side.
I guess why is it extending only 107 feet north?
Because I believe that's the distance from the southern point of the proposed project through to the building, or where the building area is.
Okay. And then the second one is to reduce the buffer along the southern perimeter from a 20-foot wide type B buffer to a 5-foot buffer with type A screening. So that's along the southern boundary adjacent to non-residential uses there, commercial uses there.
That's commercial. Well, yeah, but primarily as well, that's the Narani Medical Office as well.
The medical office. Yes. Okay. And then the other one, reduce the 20-foot wide type B buffer to 5-foot buffer with type A screening along the entire, that's the eastern perimeter. Okay, correct. I see.
Okay.
Yeah, got it.
Okay.
That's it.
Yes, Dr. Narani would like to make a few comments if you would allow. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Nazneen Narani. My address is 8916 River Laken Way, Riverview, Florida. So I'd like to first off thank the county and Mr. Lampkin for all the time and attention they've given us for this project. As Mr. Pressman mentioned, my husband and I have a primary care practice in the Brandon Riverview area. We've been in practice for 11 years. My office is right in front of the property that we're talking about. We're primarily here to personally ask for approval on this project. My husband and I have been in healthcare for nearly 20 years. Assisted living, making an assisted living facility was always a vision we had over the years. And so I'm really glad that we have this opportunity to possibly make this happen. Our practice is always focused on providing quality care in our community. We see all ages of patients, but primarily my practice has been focused on seeing the older patients. As Mr. Pressman mentioned, I have done additional training in hospice care, and I have done a lot of work in nursing homes and assisted livings, seeing patients in their facilities. And so I do recognize there's a lot of deficiencies in these type of facilities. So it's always been something that we've wanted to do to provide good quality care. The Brandon area is an aging population, and so our goal is to have these people stay in their community. We do also recognize that, you know, adult children have to take care of their elderly parents, and it's better if we can keep everybody in the community. So the location of this property is pretty unique because it is really in the heart of the community. And it's ideal for us because our practice is right there. We know that we've spoken to several of the neighbors, and we didn't really receive any objections from anyone. So again, I hope you consider our application and hope to have your support. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes. All right, Development Services.
Hello, Tim Lampkin, Development Services. For 23-0257, this is a request to rezone from ASC 1 to planned development to allow a community residential home type C with 100 beds. The 2.5-acre subject site is located north of Bloomingdale Avenue and west of Providence Road. To the immediate east is also designated ASC 1 with some single-family homes, and with the nearest located approximately 125 feet from the subject property boundary. Residential single-family conventional is located to the north. Planned development approved for 472 is located to the west. And actually, I can put an Elmo on to, I think Mr. Pressman answered the question, but if you wanted a little more detail.
Yes, thank you.
About the, so right here.
And make sure that the microphone captures your voice. Thank you.
I'm not used to using the Elmo. So right here, it's a little difficult to see, but it's PD. And so that's why on the western boundary, it goes from here to here. And you aren't required to have a buffer here because it's multifamily.
Got it. I understand. Thank you. Thanks so much for clarifying that.
My pleasure. And additionally, I think the second question, Mr. Pressman had 4. What staff did is it all required the same type of buffer for different reasons. And so staff combined it into one waiver.
Okay.
And per section 6.11.28A, community residential home type C must be located at least 1,200 feet from other community residential homes type B or C, in which ACA has determined that it is over 1,200 feet from any other community home type B or C. However, the applicant has acknowledged, and staff concurs, that it is within 500 feet of non-agricultural single-family zoning to the north and to the east, and the applicant requests 2 waivers. And the applicant went over that in detail, but briefly, the first waiver to the RSC zoning would be to the east, and it's to allow a 214-foot reduction of the 500-foot separation requirement to allow a separation of 286 feet. And the second separation waiver request is for a reduction of 392 feet to allow a separation of 108 feet due to the RS4 zoning directly north, which the applicant's also proposing to have the 35-foot buffer and be 108 feet from the proposed community residential home. The applicant also requested relief from the 2-for-1 setback due to the constraints of the property site. The applicant's justification includes that the PD to the west is approved for up to 4 stories, up to 55 feet in height, and the RSC4 abutting the site also allows a maximum height of 35 feet. Pursuant to, additionally, I think Mr. Pressman was alluding to LDC section 6.11.28.E2. The community residential home shall be designed and will appear residential, and there are a number of conditions that the applicant agreed to that are in the staff report. There's about 8 or 9 different components to create a residential appearance. Regarding variations to buffering and screening, which actually I just went over, so I'm not going to go over that again. And there's a transportation administrative variance regarding section 6.0407 that's governing spacing for the proposed access location on Bloomingdale Avenue. And the applicant's proposing to use an existing access on Bloomingdale, which is 112 feet from the closest access on the east. And that has been found approvable by the county engineer. The Planning Commission also found that the proposed rezoning would be consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County comp plan. And based on all those considerations, staff finds the request approvable.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Planning Commission?
Andrea Pappendrew, Planning Commission staff. For the record, Planning Commission staff's review was based on application materials submitted on or before July 12th, which is our legally mandated filing deadline per the Land Development Code. Any materials submitted after July 12th were not taken into consideration by staff. In the future, staff would respectfully request that all materials be submitted by the revised plan deadline to provide all staff the opportunity to review and process the new information. The site is in the suburban mixed-use 6 future land use category and within the Brandon community plan. The applicant is requesting to utilize the flex provision in policy 7.3 and 7.4 to extend the residential 16 future land use category to the west on approximately 1/4 of the subject property. The suburban mixed-use 6 future land use category would allow a maximum of 74 beds, and with their flex request will allow up to 100. A flex must demonstrate how it furthers other goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan. In this case, the flex would encourage a higher level of density within the urban service area, provide for connectivity through the use of stub outs in the south end, and the proposed assisted living facility is compatible with the surrounding development pattern. It also meets the intent of the Brandon Community Plan to concentrate density in the urban general character district and ensures that all changes are compatible to preserve existing neighborhoods. The proposed meets the intent of policy 1.2 on minimum density, and 1.4 on compatibility, and objective 16 in its policies on neighborhood protection. The site is adjacent to single family on the north, east, and west. Heavy commercial is to the southwest, and light commercial is to the south and southeast. The proposed provides an adequate transition of use between the intensive uses to the south and the residential to the north. The buffers and screening that's been described by the applicant and the Development Services Department are adequate to provide the buffering between the subject site and adjacent neighborhood. Objective 17 allows for the consideration of residential support uses within neighborhoods, as long as they're compatible with the surrounding development pattern. Assisted living facilities are considered residential support use under policy 17.1 and that proposes appropriate in scale and intensity. Objective 19 requires all development within a mixed use category to be integrated and interconnected to one another. Site plan includes internal connections and access points. At the time of Planning Commission staff report, we did not receive transportation comments, so those were not taken into consideration for this request. The site is within the suburban mixed-use future land use category and provides residential variety and density to the area and is consistent with Community Design Component Goal 1, Objective 1-1, Objective 1-2, and Policies 1-2.5 and 1-2.6. It is also consistent with Goal 6 of the Brandon Community Plan, as the Brandon Character District asserts that density should be concentrated in certain areas to preserve a semi-rural lifestyle, and encourages a variety of building types, including retail, office, and dwelling unit types. Based on this, Plan Commission staff finds the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by the Development Services Department.
All right, thank you. Okay, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? Do not hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, do not hear anyone. Development Services, anything further?
Nothing further, ma'am.
Thank you. And applicant, anything further?
No, we appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
All right, thank you. This closes the hearing on rezoning PD 23-0287.
Our next item is item D8, Major Mod Application 23-0269. The applicant is requesting a major modification to PD 21-0701. Tim Lincoln with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening. My name is
Hi.
Catherine Coyle. I'm with Urban Planning Innovations, 5312 North Swanee Avenue, Tampa, Florida 33604. I'm here representing Suncoast Community Health Centers tonight with the proposed case for a PD major modification. With us, we have the traffic engineer for the project, Michael Yates, and I believe online we have Jesus Murley, which is our civil engineer for the project, and Robert Lentz, our project architect. Next slide. There it is. Okay. Does it show up here? Gotcha. I apologize.
That's all right. I can see it here.
The project is 2.61 acres. It's located at the southwest corner of US Highway 301 and Walker Road. The previous rezoning, PD 21-0701, included office and retail, 2 buildings. It's within the Thonotasassa community, and to the north there's office, cemetery to the south, commercial and residential to the east, 2 single-family units specifically, and a mobile home park to the west, which is 5 mobile home units. Next slide. Okay, sorry. As you can see, it's R4 is the land use category. Wish I could point to it. And it's the PD located at that corner. Next slide. Should I just hit the down arrow?
It won't work on that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. As I mentioned, the previous PD from 2021 included just over 20,000 square feet in total, separated by 2 buildings. Retail square feet, approximately 5,600 square feet, and almost 15,000 square feet of office located in the rear in the yellow. There were 2 variations that were requested in that previous PD. Next slide. This particular PD, we have access on Walker Road. We do propose improvements on Walker Road. You can see in the gray. We are dedicating 7.5 feet along the west side of the right-of-way, along with sidewalks being proposed on both sides. There are no variations requested with this application. We are proposing 2 separate options. Previously, it was just over 20,000 square feet over 2 buildings. Now we are proposing a reduced size of 18,500 square feet for a single building located towards the rear of the property. In the first option, it would be just healthcare, practitioner office, a clinic, and an apothecary. No drive-through facilities for the apothecary. It is simply servicing the patients within the building. Option 2 would be to separate the building in the uses within that structure, 12,200 square feet for the healthcare, practitioner's office, clinic, and apothecary, and then 6,300 square feet for an adult or child daycare facility with a maximum of 100 occupants. There is a waiver requested to the commercial locational criteria, which has been found consistent by the Planning Commission. The height overall is 20 feet for the main structure, with the entry feature being a maximum of 24 square feet. And the roadway design exception was found approvable by Hillsborough County Transportation. Next slide. I won't list them all out. The Planning Commission will do it for you. However, in their staff report, they did find the proposal consistent with all of those objectives and policies. We are agreeing to all the conditions proposed by the staff, including that we are limiting our hours to 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday only. We do have the enhanced required buffers on all the perimeters adjacent to the cemetery and residential. As I mentioned before, the apothecary will be walk-in only, no drive-through facility. And the location of the outdoor recreation area for the child and or adult daycare was limited and reduced to the eastern side, south side of the building to pull it away from the adjacent residential mobile home park. We did receive 44 letters of support from other clients of the other facilities, and when you look at the addresses, they do range from the city of Tampa. There's many from the Nonosassa, Waimama, even up to Dade City, Temple Terrace, all the surrounding communities. And I'll have these for the record. Do I turn them to the clerk?
Yes.
Okay. We have no known letters of objection to date. We haven't received any phone calls or any other letters of objection. And with that, we respectfully request your recommendation.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Development Services.
Good evening, Tim Lampkin, Development Services, for case 23-0269. The applicant's requesting a major modification to the previously approved PD 21-0701 to accommodate two alternate designs for a health practitioner's office, a clinic, apothecary, or a combination of the above, and an adult daycare and or a child care in one 18,500 square foot building. The property is currently undeveloped. It's located on the southwest corner of Walker Road and US Highway 301 intersection. Existing land uses within the area include a cemetery to the immediate south of the subject site, a mobile home park located to the west. Additional uses nearby include commercial, office, single family. Commercial neighborhood abuts the subject property directly to the northeast across Walker Road. Agricultural rural is located east and west, and north of US Highway 1 is business office, professional office. The applicant is not requesting any variations to the land development code. The application is required to have a 20-foot buffer with type B screening adjacent to the mobile home property located to the west. And the applicant proposes a condition to ensure compatibility requiring screening shall consist of a 6-foot high PVC privacy fencing and alternating tree groupings spaced 40 feet apart. The applicant's proposing also to enhance it with tree groupings to consist of either 3 live oak trees, 5 ornamental, or pine tree groupings, and this is all in the conditions of the staff report. In addition to the required enhanced buffer and the natural vegetation, pursuant to discussions with the staff, the applicant realigned the 18,500 square foot building 40 feet from the south property line. And additionally, staff does note that the applicant proposes a decrease in the building height by 2 feet. Currently, the plan is approved for 24 feet to keep the development in character with the nearby development. Additionally, the predominance of the structure will only be 20 feet, with a proposed portion of the building entrance to be 24 feet to accommodate additional features yet to be determined. Pursuant to the location of the 20-foot portion of the building, the site plan does comply with the 2-for-1 compatibility setback requirement. There is one transportation design exception. Walker Road is a substandard local road, and the applicant's engineer has submitted a design exception for this, which has been found approvable by the county engineer. The subject site will comply and conform with all other applicable policies and regulations of the Land Development Code, and the Planning Commission has found the development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, and based upon all the above, staff finds the request approvable.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Planning Commission?
Andrea Papandrew, Planning Commission staff. The site is in the residential 4 future land use category and within the Thanona-Sassa community plan. Objective 16 seeks to protect existing neighborhoods and communities and to force new development to conform to the surrounding development pattern. The previous planned development was approved but excluded the possibility for medical uses. The applicant has addressed Planning Commission staff's concerns by mitigating potential impacts of the proposed major modification. The applicant will limit operating hours, not include a drive-through. They have moved the outdoor recreational area further southeast from the residential uses to the west, and they have that enhanced type E buffer along the western portion. The property is located at the southwestern corner of Walker Road and US Highway 301 and does not meet commercial locational criteria. The applicant submitted a waiver request stating that the proposed use is neighborhood serving and is limited to an intersection, and any additional uses would also be limited to an intersection and would not create sprawl. Planning Commission staff at this time recommends the Board of County Commissioners grants a waiver. The community design component goal 17 states that commercial areas should be developed in a manner that enhances the county's character. Objective 17-1 and policy 17-1.4 discuss site developments to be organized and appear purposeful, and Planning Commission staff finds the proposed is consistent with this policy direction. The Thanona-Sassa Community Plan Goals 3, 4, and 5 seek to ensure that new development occurs in a manner that maintains and enhances the area. These goals also discuss providing a balance of residential, commercial, and other land uses while maintaining the rural nature. Staff believes that the applicant has addressed these goals through the office hour restrictions, enhanced buffering, and other mitigation efforts. Based on this, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed major modification consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to conditions proposed by the Department of Development Services.
All right, thank you. All right, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application?
We do have someone online signed up, I believe Robert Lenz.
All right, the person online, are you speaking in support of this application?
Hi, I'm Robert Lenz. I'm the project architect. No, I have nothing to add.
Oh, okay. The architect for the project. Anyone else online who wishes to speak in support of this application? All right, don't hear anyone. Is there anyone online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, don't hear anyone. Development Services, anything further?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Applicant, anything further?
I'm sorry, nothing further, ma'am. We just respectfully request your recommendation to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. This will close the hearing on Major Modification 23-0269, and this will conclude the zoning hearing master meeting for this evening.